It's the last working day of the week, Friday, a day that particularly trails a lot of Ghanaian workers. Well, because of course, it affords them the opportunity to move into a period of rest away from all the stresses and strains accumulated over the course of the week. Well, this is the AM show with your regular suspect, Benjamin Akako, and within the course of this week in particular, Mapito Sibidi. Now, Joy Sports Muftau Nabila Abdullahi had an exclusive conversation with Wilfred Osei Palmer on the new Ghana Premier League, what to expect and how the sports ministry can maximize the opportunities embedded in the GPL. It airs right after the news review, and then Benjamin Akako will come your way with another edition of his blunt thoughts. Now, there's a surge again in rabies cases in the Ashanti region, and health authorities there are worried about it. The region so far has recorded at least 12 fatal cases. We'll hear from the health authorities on how they are addressing the situation. As you're aware, inflation for the month of August is 33.9%. But what does this mean to the average market woman or trader at Agbobulushi? Mapito Sibidi has been speaking to some of them, and we will be moving into that as well. That conversation comes up a bit later on the show. Now, you would recall that Benjamin Akako was in the Netherlands for the Global Adaptation Summit. Yes, that one. He spent some time in the city of Rotterdam. His diaries will show later on the show as well. And then we also tell you about a group seeking government support to make coconut a cash crop. This group believes that coconut can outshine cocoa in raking in revenue for Ghana's developmental agenda. We can also, of course, join us with your thoughts on all the issues that we'll be discussing within the course of this morning on phone as well as on social media. And so it's a very enthralling bouquet for you. Don't go anywhere. Up next, the news with me. Let's start off with the very first story, where the opposition National Democratic Congress is alleging that Galamsey Aisha Juan is a financier of the governing New Patriotic Party. Deputy General Secretary of the party, Dr. Peter Boama Otukono, says government's inability to take on Aisha Juan and prosecute her fully shows a level of complicity. Dr. Otukono has also berated President Akufo-Addo for saying he's unsure whether Aisha Juan was deported.
Indeed, look at the crisis we are going through. We are suffering one of the worst currency challenges in the history of this country. Gold has the solution to this problem. They are not paying taxes on the Galamsey. She's smuggling the gold. She's doing all manner of things against our law. And because MPP is in government and maybe they claim she's their financier, they are defending her. And they want all of us to follow suit. I mean, all of us cannot be fools in this country. If perhaps they have been deceived by Ashawan because she has given them some pretenses, or because Baumia went cap in hand begging them for money and she led them to go and raise funds for their campaign, that doesn't mean that we, the citizens of this country, must sit down and allow them to rip the nation off.
Do you have any basis of this allegation that Aisha Juan is a financier of the NPP?
Oh, well, I mean, if she's not a financier of the NPP, I wonder how somebody who is supposed to have been deported, and the president admitting that she has been deported, the senior minister, if you want, the prime minister, Osafo Mafo, saying that she has been deported, all of a sudden, the president is playing dumb and saying that he doesn't know that the woman has been deported. And I think it's becoming one too many, and it is becoming a worrying trend.
The National Democratic Congress is also asking governments to ensure Aisha Juan is prosecuted fully according to Ghanaian laws.
One thing, and it is most bizarre and most regrettable, particularly because if you consider the kind of economic circumstances that we are going through and the fact that the gold of this country, the God-given gold of this country could be saving the economy, and you have somebody who has ripped this nation so much and is still ripping this nation, who has committed crime against the nation, committed crime against our laws, and the MPP came to tell us that that person has been deported, even against the wishes of the people of this country. We said that the person has committed crime against our laws. Let's deal with that person. You don't deport the person because the person is not a diplomat. If any diplomat comes here and messed up, because the person is a diplomat, maybe there are some bilateral, arrangements that requires you to deport the person. But this is not a diplomat. This is a private Chinese citizen who has entered our country and has messed up, gone against the law, perpetrated crime, heinous crimes, stolen our gold. You understand? And so, for such instance, you shouldn't have even deported the person in the first place. But granted, Be that as it may, you have deported the person. The person has resurfaced in the country. Now it's two questions that must be answered. Aisha one, how did she enter the country? Did she go through immigration? Did she go through the borders? And if she didn't go through the borders, if she smuggled herself through maybe Togo or Ivory Coast, how come she was able to acquire a Ghana card? How come she was able to go through the NIA to get a Ghana card? That is another criminality on its own. But what we are demanding now, after finding out that Aisha One is still in the country, is the proper application of the laws of this country in dealing with her.
Away from that, the Ghana Health Service says medication practices and errors remain a challenge to patient safety, a situation they say has worsened during the period of COVID-19. Deputy Director of the service, Dr. Anthony Adofo-Fosu, says urgent actions are needed to reduce medication-related harms to safeguard the safety of patients. Precious Semevo has more on the following report.
The 4th National Patient Safety and Healthcare Quality Conference, ongoing in Sunyani, is under the theme Advancing Patient Safety and Healthcare Quality During Public Health Emergencies. The 3-day conference is to help health stakeholders create national awareness of patient safety and healthcare quality in the era of a public health emergency, propose a mechanism for the provision of service delivery, and identify policy and research gaps in patient safety and healthcare quality in Ghana, among others. In his address, the Deputy Director of the Ghana Health Services, Dr. Anthony Adofo-Fosu, on behalf of the Director General, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, said urgent actions are needed to arrest the growing medication errors affecting patient safety.
Medication errors occur when weak medication systems and human factors such as fatigue, poor environmental conditions, or staff shortages affect prescribing, transcribing, dispensing, administration, and monitoring practices, which can then result in severe patient harm. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has significantly exacerbated the risk of medication error and associated medication-related harm, especially from self-medication. This calls for urgent action for reducing medication-related harm through strengthening systems and practices of medication use and strong partnerships with patients, their families, and communities.
Ghana Health Service Council Chairman Dr. Sifa Bediako, on his part, said the council would continue to reinforce medical governance and collaborate with other stakeholders to ensure the delivery of quality healthcare services.
The council is making frantic efforts to reinforce clinical governance at all levels of care. This, we believe, will go a long way towards creating an environment where safety practices regarding the use of safe medications will flourish. Reducing preventable harm requires a concerted, persistent, coordinated effort by all stakeholders. The Council pledges its support and that the entire service to collaborate with all stakeholders to deliver quality health care to all citizens.
Deputy Minister of Health, Mahama Saini, assured that the government would continue to promote pro-poor policies and interventions to benefit all citizens and urged all stakeholders to do more to improve healthcare safety.
In Ghana, despite many efforts, there is still the need to continuously deploy effective monitoring policy, tools, standards, and protocols to equip managers and service providers at all levels of care to achieve high-quality care.
Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Sunyani.
Let's still stay on health, where authorities in the Ashanti region are worried over increasing rabies-related deaths and cases. The region has recorded at least 12 fatal cases, with 4 of them being recorded in the last quarter alone. Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Kojo Tinkran is worried there is no effort to vaccinate dogs in the region at the time the exercise is needed most. Ohimi Toya of our health desk has more in the following report.
Rabies infections usually occur following a deep bite or scratch from an animal with rabies. Transmission to humans by rabid dogs accounts for up to 99% of cases in Ghana. its transmission can be stopped through vaccination. Health authorities say people infected with rabies in the Ashanti region, majority being dog owners who suffered dog bites, have all died. Asante Achim South, Bosomtwi and Kwabri East are some of the latest districts and municipalities to have recorded cases of the disease. Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Kojotingran expressed concerns over the issue.
Recently, we've realized that the number of rabies cases we are getting in Ashanti region is going up. And for the last half year, we've detected close to 8 cases of rabies in the communities. And it's telling you that the dogs are not vaccinated. And this is basically a zoonosis, a disease that's transmitted from animal to man. So whenever you leave these stray animals and they become infected in the community, and unfortunately they bite somebody, then the person will get rabies.
The Ashanti Regional Health Directorate has asked health facilities to be on the alert as the Directorate increases surveillance on the situation. Dr. Tinkran says there's little his outfit could do as unvaccinated stray dogs continue to roam the streets.
We need to talk to maybe the central government to see how best we can provide the vaccines so that all dogs in these communities are vaccinated, and that will help us better than the health system. Rabies is said that when you get it, the fatality is very high. The case fatality is close to about 80%. So you don't have to wait till maybe you are bitten by a dog, because other than that, it will be too late.
The veterinary services has since 2018 confirmed rabies cases from its laboratory here in Kumasi. Out of 74 samples received from Ashanti, Bono, Ahafo and the Bono East regions, 34 samples were confirmed positive rabies cases. 49 human casualties were also recorded in the same period. Regional Veterinary Officer Dr. Mabel Abudu believes the number may be higher since some cases go unreported.
From our laboratory reports, we had 74 cases. Cases means dogs that died and then the owners brought them to us to carry out rabies tests. We had 74. Out of the 74, 38 were positive, reacted to either rapid test or PCR confirmation. And then the 38 positive cases, human involvement, 49. It means that one rabid dog can bite about 1, 2, or 5. So even though we have 38 positive cases, the involvement, human being, the victims, were 49. I believe that some didn't get to our facilities.
According to Dr. Abudu, a national rabies campaign to roll out a vaccination program nationwide will go a long way to solve the current problem.
Whenever there's a dog bite case, report to the health facility or to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, which Veterinary Services Directorate is a big unit within that.
Let's still stay in the Ashanti region, where more than 20,000 women and youths in Kumasi are expected to benefit from a plastic bottle recycling project. The Coca-Cola Foundation has given a grant of 150,000 Ghana cedis to recycle App Ghana in this direction. The 2-year project will see to the processing of about 500 tons of plastic waste monthly. Lab FM's Kwesi Deborah has more in the following report.
The community recycling project focuses on raising awareness on plastic pollution, collection and recycling, and capacity building. Abdurrahim Shaibu Isa is Executive Director of Recycle App Ghana.
For the next 2 years, Recycle App Ghana, with the support of the Coca-Cola Foundation, will support these same people, the plastic waste aggregators and the collectors, to increase their current PET collection capacity and to create environmental awareness and education campaigns in various communities in Kumasi. The project will focus on providing infrastructure as well as technical support to the plastic waste aggregators and collectors to increase their current PET collection capacity. This will automatically increase the recycling percentage of recycled plastics by 5% in the short term and up to 25% in the medium to long term. This will see a massive change in how plastics are always clogging our drains, just like the director mentioned. And then we would also support the creation of women waste picker groups. Now, the idea of creating women waste picker groups is to also collectively form a formidable group of women waste collectors, where Recycle Up Ghana will continuously work together with our partners to provide them with additional support, as in access to finance, additional training support, and other areas where they could also be able to create value out of what they do, so that they can continuously be able to collect the plastic waste that the aggregators need. The idea is basically to fill that void in the value chain, to make sure that every single player in that value chain is affected in that process.
Coca-Cola Director of Public Affairs, Communication and Sustainability for West Africa, Indies and Middle Africa, Dr. Aisha Fauzi, says the project reflects the Coca-Cola Foundation's agenda of a world without waste.
So World Without Waste is a global campaign to ensure that we have zero waste by 2030. So how we're doing that is we're working on different pillars. The first pillar is to collect, so we have to really put a lot of emphasis on the collection, and that's what we want to do in the Kumasi Ashanti region. And then the second one is to design. So the design of the packaging together with the packaging and the secondary packaging. And then the third one is the partnership, and that's where we come along with Recycle Up Ghana to partner with the women pickers, and also to ensure that we actually drive a world free of waste.
CEO of Premier Waste Services, Abon Arthur Brown, believes the project will help build capacities of waste aggregators in Kumasi.
This project means a lot to Premier Waste Services as a company and my fellow aggregators, because one, it will help us to increase the capacity that we are producing and also help us to create employment.
Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
Well, still outside of the capital, more than 3,000 people in Sigri and other adjoining communities in the Jirapa municipality of the Upper West region will benefit from the establishment of a groundnut processing center in the area. The project, which is funded by a non-governmental organization, World Vision Ghana, will empower the women economically and promote local value of the groundnut products as well. Correspondent Rafik Salam reports from Jirapa.
The Sigri Groundnut Processing Center is a community initiative and funded by World Vision Ghana at a cost of 552,500 Ghana cedis. The aim of the processing center is to support women in their communities to raise not only their income but to add value to the groundnuts by processing and packaging them into different products. Board member of World Vision Ghana, Ruth Atimile Awales, speaking at the commissioning of the center on behalf of World Vision's National Director, Dickens Tunde, commended the women for the initiative. She noted that the project is not for free, but to empower them, adding that over 3,000 people from 4 communities will benefit from it.
This whole project, it's going to benefit 3,295 members from the Sigri, Tanzu, Carl, and Jeffrey communities. And out of this number, 1,959 are adults and children who are also very dear to the heart of World Vision, 1,336 being children. The
groundnuts are taken through several processes, including roasting and extraction of oil, before they get the final 5 products, namely groundnut oil, groundnut paste, kuli-kuli, coated groundnuts, and snack bar. Municipal Chief Executive for Jiroba, Nicola Soyiri, was full of praise to World Vision Ghana for the support. He however pleaded with the chiefs and landlords of Sigri to cede more land to women for the project, since the 25-acre land allotted for the piloting of the project wouldn't be enough in the near future.
When I looked at the processing facility and I heard that it was 25 acres of land, as you did here, I quickly imagined that the machines can consume all the granules within a short while, and all year round the machines may be idling. So I would engage with community leaders further to see if we can facilitate release of more land for cultivation.
Jiriba Area Programs Manager of World Vision, Francis Mensah, threw more light on the project.
We saw that granules is commonly produced here, but it doesn't benefit the producers because they are bought at a cheaper price, meaning that they toil and others make the profit. So with the support of our savings for transformation groups that we have formed with the community members, we share the idea with them that it is very important that they increase their incomes through adding value to their raw products. The idea of adding value to their raw product came up, and they accepted the process that it can be done.
Meanwhile, World Vision Ghana has closed its Jiriba area office after close to 10 years of operations. The commissioning of the Granule Processing Center was their swan song. World Vision Ghana National Director Dickens Tunde explains further.
We are talking about Jirapa area program closure, but it's not really a closure. We are simply transitioning. And I want you to know that World Vision Ghana is very, very delighted by the work that has been done in this community. You know, we work in several other areas, but coming here was by God's providence. This is not a place that we have any regrets about.
Jiriba Municipal Chief Executive Nicolas Sowiri recounted with nostalgia some of the projects executed by World Vision Ghana in their decade stint in the municipality.
Also, 350 farmer groups were trained to increase food production and rearing of animals. Furthermore, World Vision supported households in dry season vegetable production in Nembare, Tezaboi, Ngofo, and Naibo.
Also present at the function was Regent of Jiriba, Najas.
I am aware you are not just folding up to abandon Jirapa to its fate, but that you still have projects that you will be monitoring till they reach the stage that you expect them.
What is the weirdest myth you've heard about epilepsy? Heard that epilepsy is contagious, spiritual, or a curse? Well, just like some non-communicable disorders, epilepsy is one of the most common disorders yet misunderstood by many, including health care providers. The misconceptions drive people to prayer camps and traditional healers for treatment, but the World Health Organization is seeking to change the narrative as it launches a global action plan on epilepsy. There's more on the following report.
According to statistics, 270,000 Ghanaians are living with epilepsy, and children constitute a significant number.
Health aspects will tell you of issues around malaria, poorly managed malaria, pregnancy-related complications, and the rest can eventually lead to children suffering epileptic seizures in later life, particularly from childhood onwards. And so attention to epilepsy among children is also very much a priority, because once that is done, the person can grow up living more positively with the condition.
The World Health Organization's WHO has launched an intersectoral global action plan on epilepsy and other neurological disorders to create public and political awareness.
Epilepsy is one of the health conditions that has been neglected and needs greater attention, because as the phrase goes, it has been so much in the shadows of healthcare services. Yet we have quite a significant number of people living with epilepsy who could live useful lives if their conditions were properly managed. And the fact that epilepsy is a very manageable condition requires government and all to put an effort to make management of epilepsy services available to people who are living with such conditions.
Thomas Larby, whose wife is epileptic, shares his experience of what it is like to be a caregiver.
And I remember when we lost our first child, it was a very horrible experience because of what they thought, okay, until we had our second child and then we had our third child. So we were able to break that myth. I've had situations where I find it very difficult to let her go out alone. That was the beginning of the marriage, okay, and that was then she was having multiple seizures, like 7 times in a day or sometimes more than 30 in 24 hours. And that was very, very challenging. So in such situation, you yourself, you feel uncomfortable letting her go out alone. But thanks to the medical doctors, thanks to our family, the family support and all that, and then the medications that she has been put on, gradually has been able to help her to migrate to the many seizures to less seizure, what we call seizure-free, which is what we pray for every person living with the condition.
Dr. Amabwedu talks more about the priorities and hindrances of the epilepsy advocacy.
A lot of the cases of people with epilepsy are seen by psychiatric nurses, which ideally shouldn't be. The reason being that health workers are not comfortable with seeing patients or people with epilepsies, and so would rather push them to the people or psychiatric professionals or mental health professionals. Epilepsy, mental health is shrouded in, this area of superstition. So people would, if we think that its etiology or the root cause has to do with a spiritual one, then we would want to have a spiritual management to it. And so people will go to see our spiritualists. We want people to see it as a normal or any other medical condition like we would do with the others and seek medical help. The reason why it's going to be a major hindrance is that we do know that for some of these practitioners, there is an economic gain to it, and therefore they would certainly resist.
Epilepsy is neither infectious nor spiritual, and no one is immune to it. Jessie Sewa-Bwafo reports for JoyNews.
That's all for the news. For more, log on to www.myjoyonline.com. My name is Paa Kwesi Schandorf. Do have a pleasant weekend. I live in the company of Benjamin Akapo and Mapito CBD. Stay.
Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. What a beautiful morning. If I gave you some behind-the-scenes information about what exactly is going on today, you'd be surprised. But we're here to do what we do best. So right before we usher you into the news review, just a quick recap of what to expect on the show today. I'll be sharing with you my blunt thoughts much later. But what should you expect after the news review? Sports. Muftau Nabila will be coming your way with that exclusive with Mr. Palmer, former executive of the GFA, and he has a whole lot to share with us this morning. We'll be getting into that all-important discussion with my colleague Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. After that, I'll be coming your way with my blunt thoughts, and let me just give you the topic for today. I have captioned it, "The Enemy Within, Why Ghana's Leaders Are So Far Off the Delivery Mark." The enemy within, why Ghana's leaders are so far off the delivery mark. But there's more. Today, it's back-to-back content. We'll also be airing Mapito CBD's interaction from yesterday on Citizen's Microphone with some market women, some salespeople around the Agbubulushi area. You remember we told you that the AMA is not able to clean up all the waste in that area. Just about 40% is what they can deal with, and it's partly because a lot of them are outside the market. And finally, well, I did spend some time in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. I'll bring you my Rotterdam diaries. 37 minutes of wonderful interaction. You don't want to miss that. All of that coming up this morning on the AM show. But for now, let's settle for the news papers. I have the Daily Graphic and the Daily Guide this morning. It's a bit of a lean morning, Mapito. Good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin. Yes, it is a bit of...
By way of the papers.
Yes, I know. So I also have the Daily Statesman, the Ghanaian Times, and the Finder.
Right. So quite a morning, and we're here to do the do. Let's start with the Daily Graphic.
Sure.
Auditor General retrieves 2.2 billion Ghana cedis, represents disallowances from 2017 to 2020. Let's quickly get into that story. So the Auditor General, Johnson Ekwuamwa Asiedu, has retrieved more than 2.2 billion Ghana cedis from disallowances captured in the Auditor General's reports between 2017 and 2020. The amount was out of the expected 4 billion Ghana cedi disallowances by the Auditor General. It was retrieved after the Audit Service had conducted audits of ministries, departments, agencies, public boards, the district assemblies, common fund, internally generated funds, pre-university institutions, and technical universities, and determined expenditure improprieties. The amount was also retrieved through 7 irregularities in cash utilization, contracts indebtedness, advances or loans, payrolls, rents, stores, that is procurement, and taxes, which the Auditor General disallowed after the audits. Here's a quick breakdown. Of the amount, 1.6 billion Ghana cedis was from tax irregularities, 420.31 million from the indebtedness, that is advances and loans, and 131.07 million from cash irregularities. The rest, amounting to 13.60 million, was retrieved from contracts, payrolls, rent and stores, as well as procurement. And just to wrap on that, in terms of disallowances and surcharge powers, the Auditor General informed the coalition, that is those civil society groups that have been calling on him to act to disallow and surcharge. He informed the coalition that it was not the case that disallowance and surcharge powers were not being exercised, saying the disallowance of expenditure made contrary to law had led to the recovery of over 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. So, Mapito, the Auditor General is saying, well, you guys have been telling me that I'm not living up to the expectations of a certain Daniel Yaudome level. But I also have my own processes, and I am going to do what must be done at the right time. As of this point, between the years 2017 to 2020, there have been some retrievals amounting to 2.2 billion Ghana cedis. My only problem is that this entire system is retrospective. It is a bit late. In other words, it happens, and then after it has happened, we now try to recoup. It would be better if we could, wouldn't it, Mapito, if we could prevent it altogether.
Yeah. Benjamin.
It's quite a situation.
It's quite a situation. But what more stories do you have for us?
Well, let's look at NDC outlines roadmap for internal elections. That is also there. It's on page 18. Anti-Galamsey force arrests 164 people. Suspects include foreigners. Government creates 5.3 million jobs. That's according to the employment minister. And Ghana will overcome economic challenges. IMF rep says so. So a quick look at page 13. And then maybe page 18, and then we shall wrap it from there. The other stories, if you'd like to get the details, you might as well grab a copy of the Daily Graphic newspaper. So, government creates 5.3 million jobs. That's according to Ignatius Bafwewa, Minister of Employment and Labour Relations. And he says government created 5,306,899 jobs between 2017 and 2021. He said the figure was arrived at after an analysis of data assembled by the ministry from ministries, departments, and agencies, and the government's flagship programs. Mr. Bafwewa, who was speaking at the opening of the 2022 Ghana Job Fair in Sunyani last Wednesday, said the government had made tremendous gains in job creation. Mapito, did you get any of these jobs? Apart from, maybe what you do with us?
Unfortunately not. So if you're looking for an MC or an entertainer...
Are you pitching,
Yes, I am.
live on television?
Yes, I am. So if you're looking for an MC for your wedding, your birthday parties or anything, feel free to contact me. You can get me on Facebook and on Instagram. It's Princess _PITSO. Princess_PITSO. I'm available for all your weddings, your birthday parties.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That was
your corporate
cool.
events. Yeah.
You just pitched yourself like that. Can I fit into your pocket when you go for these gigs?
No.
Oh.
But I will make sure that you enjoy what I have reaped.
Okay, so there will be some. Do you know chimpe?
No.
Share evenly.
No, not share evenly.
As children, we used to do some.
But I'll make sure that you're sorted.
You'll make sure that I'm sorted.
Like I will full tank.
Will I get a tithe? 10%?
Maybe 5.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
Apparently, finance just called. Don't worry, finance.
You're going to get a bill.
I'll sort you out. Your problem.
Yeah, you don't say money no be problem.
Oh, money no be problem.
Let's quickly do page 18 and we'll move from there. NDC outlines roadmap for internal elections, and the opposition NDC has announced guidelines for the conduct of the party's constituency, regional and national executive elections. The processes for the elections begin from September 20 to December 10, 2022, with the national elections slated for December 17, 2022. Pictured there, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, General Secretary of the party. Those are the stories in the Daily Graphic newspaper. And on the back, Tariq Lamptey, gate-crashing Black Stars World Cup party. And of course, he is set to make his Ghana debut against Brazil, with whom we play a friendly. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper.
Let me go to the Ghanaian Times, and the big story is 164 galamseys grabbed in swoop. They include foreigners, 5 female, 6 workers. Also, page 18, Rabies kills 4 in renewed increase in cases in Kumasi. That's according to the Ghana Health Service, and they're issuing a health alert and all regions to get a high-level diagnostic centers. That's according to the health minister. But let me go to the big story, which is on page 16, and 164 galamseys grabbed in a swoop there. They include foreigners, 5 female, 6 workers. So they've been arrested following a 3-day operation by the military in the Ashanti region. They're from Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The arrested persons include 5 female sex workers who allegedly provided sexual services to the illegal miners. The illegal miners were transferred to Accra yesterday in the Ghana Armed Forces branded buses. Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. George Mekudoko, who received Duka, who received the illegal miners, said they will be handed over to the police for further action. And then, per the briefing, he said they were caught illegally invading mining concessions and mining in river beds. Let's talk about the females who were allegedly lured to Ghana under the pretext of offering them jobs. Benjamin, and this is like something that we have been dealing with, like even Ghanaian citizens being lured into other countries for jobs, and then they end up being stranded there. Mr. Duka cautioned persons currently engaged in all forms of illegal mining to immediately stop and vacate the forest and water bodies. This is a warning, and I quote, to all those who have failed to heed to the several warnings to stop illegal mining. We will come after you, arrest and prosecute you, move out of our river bodies and forests now, he said. Benjamin?
I am sorry I'm going to be this blunt. Good move by getting them. And you know, wherever there's a stash of money, usually it also attracts sex workers and all of that. So you would notice that many a time in these communities where there is gold mining or galamsey, it also attracts, sex workers and all of that. And of course, at least in Ghana, it still is illegal, unlike in other parts of the world. But what I do not like in our country is the knee-jerk reactionism. It's always, galamsey is in the spotlight now. We're talking Aisha Huang, we're doing this. So let's show some force. It's all good, but let's not go to sleep. That's my whole point. Let's not go to sleep. Constantly, it's, okay, let's show, rather than let's actually do. Let's wipe out the menace. So yes, good move. You can't run away from the fact that this is a step in the right direction, but continuity, consistency is key in this regard.
You were talking about job creation, right?
Yes, I was.
Well, the Youth Employment Agency says the youth lack relevant skills to land these jobs.
Who is to give them the relevant skills?
Is it not our schools? So let me. So what he says, the Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Employment Agency, Mr. Kofi Ejapong, says that The unemployment rate among Ghanaian youth keeps soaring due to a lack of relevant skills to take up existing job opportunities. To that effect, he said the youth were losing out on jobs, especially in the artisanal sector. And so he says you want the best of masons to put up a building for you. You want the best plumbers to fix your pipes, and even painting, and you're directed to artisans from other countries like Togo. So that's what he's saying, that the youth lack relevant skills to land jobs. Yeah.
Relevant skills. Like I was saying yesterday, it's a concerted effort in other parts of the world. There's actually a plan. For example, this year we want to have 500,000 accountants, or 200,000 engineers, or 300,000 medical doctors. It's planned. And so we know the intake and everything. Here, you can't even regulate that. Typical case scenario, and yes, some of this may be very, I may be speaking in, I don't know whether to say esoteric terms, but the legal system, for example, we have such a yawning gap when it comes to our legal needs and what we can actually deliver. Look at legal aid in our country, for example. It's just a mess. Look at the legal system. Look at the court processes. Look at how many people are in, custody without proper trial, even after all the efforts that the legal system has made. And we have just about over 3,000 lawyers, the last time I checked. I could be mistaken. And how many of them are even active? You have one of the regions up north. I always forget whether it's Upper East or Upper West. I suspect it's the Upper East, with 3 lawyers, 3, for an entire region. So we talk about skill sets, and yet look at how the process is hobbled for people to get into law school. I mean, for the professional course.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but
so when these calls are made, I often ask myself, what has the system done to ensure that people can acquire these skills?
Another interesting story here that caught my attention is bleaching, potential cause of irreversible blindness in unborn babies. Now,
Whoa.
Yeah. So what happens is that these women would insert or inject some sort of chemical because they want to be lighter.
Yes.
So at first, the first phase was that you buy a lotion.
Yes.
You get some sort of
smear it on your skin.
Yeah, so that's the first phase. But now they've noticed that this doesn't last long. You have to continue to use it, and then you'll see that they have some dark burns and all of that. So the second phase was taking pills so that the bleaching phase would last longer, right? That also didn't work. And obviously with taking the pills, it wasn't just it had its own effects, apparently it caused a rate of infertility, and then just a lot of things were wrong with it. And then the third phase was the IVs, getting the IVs injected into your skin so that you can, or some fluid comes in so that you can, be, what is it called?
Light-skinned?
Light-skinned, yeah. And so now has a potential of causing irreversible blindness in your born babies. And most of these people that do it are fairly young, 22, 23, but even older people do it. But the young ones are most at risk because they don't have babies. They haven't fully grown into their bodies. So Charlie, yeah, I'm tired.
The words, you can't find the words to explain
tired.
it. I mean, it's just crazy, this phenomenon. And it's a multi-billion-dollar business.
Yeah.
This bleaching creams and all of that. And I wonder, you see, a lot of it, I mean, no disrespect if you choose to lighten your skin, but a lot of it as well, I think, is hair. It's the mentality that maybe lighter skinned is better in a way. I don't know how it came about. I don't know whether it's a vestige of colonialism. I don't know what it is, but some of the things people do, it beats my imagination. So you were using some cream on your body, and you knew of the effects. I mean, do you know, I know of some people who had bleached so much, it actually wears away your skin.
The skin, yeah.
To the point where some of them needed surgery, right? And when they went, surgeons could simply not stitch their bodies. They had to leave because their skin layers had become so thin that it simply, nothing could pierce it and piece it together. But what beats my imagination? You know, you are, even that is dangerous, but you are taking in pills or injecting yourself. It's going directly into your body, and you're not asking yourself if it is internally able to do that outwardly on my skin. What possibly could it be doing internally to me within my body?
Yeah.
I mean,
and also
these people are brave.
Yeah. Is it brave, or it's also like...
No, I'm saying they are maybe recklessly brave, because
recklessly brave.
I would think twice.
Yeah, but I also blame social media, because when you're looking at all these like top models, you're looking at like our top five it girls in the country or any other country. These babes are light skinned, you know, they're light in complexion.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so I'm sitting here. I mean, I'm naturally like this. I'm naturally light, yeah. But like if someone is watching me and they like dark and it's like, oh, Chale, I'd like to be like her. You know, maybe I also might end up on TV. You know, maybe I might also get the gigs.
But then again, it goes to the portrayal.
Yeah.
Because maybe we're all feeding into it. When you look across the media, and now you've brought in another, you know, very interesting subject. When you look across the media, you would see that indeed a lot of the female hosts tend to have maybe lighter skin and this and that. So it creates certain impressions, which is why I'm happy that some of the, you know, these big lotion companies and the rest, I don't want to mention brands, but now they ensure that whatever ad they put out there, you know, the big banners and all of that, they have maybe one kind of light-skinned person and then a dark-toned or dark-skinned person.
But even that
dark-toned
person, is that person really dark-toned? Because you could see some of them,
no, some are actually dark. Like some of those I've seen are like, they create, like depending on what
are not really
product
dark.
you want to use.
It's like dark, but like palatable. Like dark, but I'm not saying dark is not nice, but dark, but nice. You get it? It's not like the dark, you know, if you go to the Congo type of dark. But it's a dark like, oh, she's
that
nice.
in itself, the Kenya or the DRC dark is beautiful. I don't know where it got to that way. You know, I was horrified once. I'll share this with you. Way back, this was around early 2000s. There was this cream that you know, sometimes you just explore. So I wanted to change my cream a bit. And I didn't know. I think it's hydroquinone. I think that is one of the key ingredients in bleaching. Yeah. I had no idea. So I bought a product and it contained that. And then I realized, I mean, I didn't really realize it, but all of a sudden I was getting a little, lighter. You know, and I hadn't really noticed it. It took someone telling me that, look, your face is becoming, and it wasn't that bad, but it took a lot of time to stop after stopping using that product for my natural tone. That's another thing people don't realize. When you start bleaching, and if you want to go back to your natural, you know, tone,
it's gonna take time.
It's hell.
Yeah.
It's hell. So you don't even want to start off on that journey if you're not ready for the consequences, and the consequences are many.
Yeah, so I think it's a very broad conversation. How the media portrays people, insecurity, social media, and just, you know, your personal beliefs. Let's do other stories, Benjamin. That's it from the Ghanaian Times.
Daily Guide newspaper, Subin NDC boils over missing album, and some aspiring branch officers of the opposition NDC in the Subin constituency of the Ashanti region have accused their executives of hiding the constituency album in an attempt to frustrate their bids. More details on page 6. A state developer cries over demolition. That story there. Aisha Huang, married to Ghanaian, says lawyer. But Daily Guide, this was news yesterday. We tore this apart yesterday, and that's the banner headline for the Daily Guide newspaper. Well, all apologies. I mean, anyway. And then hot race for GRA top job. Julius Siam Amishadai Owusu Amwa pictured there. Napo commends bust for 164 million Ghana cedi. Profit. Let me just go to the entertainment page and let's share some quick thoughts there.
Sure.
Black Sheriff Kamido Jackie, others grab 2022 Afrima nominations. R. Kelly guilty of child abuse in latest trial. Oh my word.
It never stops, does it?
Robert Kelly, it's just, you know, I grew up loving this guy.
Okay.
Gotham City, city of justice. You know?
City of Peace.
It's and Charlie.
We all need.
I believe I can fly.
Step to the
I
left,
believe I
step
can
to the right. Age.
Charlie, but
every
you know,
night and day.
sometimes I think we can all take lessons from the life story of the likes of Bill Cosby, Robert Kelly, and all of them. Yes, there's the victimization part where sometimes blacks are unfairly targeted. If you go into the American justice system, the number of blacks who end up in prison, proportionally, looking at the population, is outrageous. But for some of them, the things that have been done, and you know, it goes as far back as, I mean, even before Aliyah. You remember Aliyah?
Yeah. Oh,
and apparently, you know, even when he married her, she was still just a teen, not
very young.
Anyway, Paul Okoye spotted with his estranged wife and kids. One of the P-Square brothers.
Yeah.
Other details in the paper. Maybe we can just take a few more thoughts if you have another paper.
Quickly, the Finder commitment to develop Ghana football is exciting to us. That's according to Access Bank. 164 illegal miners arrested. Also, page 8, NPA shuts down 3 filling stations for cheating consumers. That is in Sunyani. And the last one, 13 road projects measuring 343 kilometers. That's according to the Borno Regional Minister, ongoing in Borno Region since 2017. That is what the minister is saying.
Well, for me, my takeaway today as we wrap, the over 5.3 million jobs that have been created between 2017, I think, and 2020 or 2022. Interesting dynamics. Anyway, we'll wrap with some birthdays, Mapito. Happy 60th birthday to Deacon John Abil, a.k.a. Farmer John, or Chairman 1. May God's favor on you continue to multiply, and may he satisfy you with good health and long life. This is coming from your wife, Mrs. Kate Abil, Deputy CEO of Ghana Free Zones Authority, and all your children.
Happy
Let's
birthday
also
to,
look at the next one. Go ahead,
happy
Mapito.
birthday to Gordon Opoku Boating, Assistant Headmaster of Takwa Senior High School. May God grant you all your heart's desires.
Okie doke. So don't you forget, today we're going to do the sports package, and after that, I'll bring you my blunt thoughts. But here's what to expect in sports. 2019 Ghana FA presidential aspirant Wilfred Kwesi, Palmer, affectionately called Palmer, well, says the current leadership of the GFA is incompetent. In this exclusive conversation with Joy Sports' Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, he takes us through his journey to riches and ambition.
Palmer, thank you very much for your time. How are you doing?
Oh, very well. It's been very long since I spoke on football-related issues.
Yes.
And it was for strategic reasons.
We are honored. We are honored you've opened to speak to us.
It's always a pleasure to speak on football, because that is what livens my soul.
But many times, I know we'll come to that, but many times you keep saying you quit football, but you're not quitting.
Ask any football administrator or philanthropist, and they will tell you that we do call it quits on regular basis, especially when you're upset by something. But some few hours, you are back.
Then why do you say it in the first place? If you know you're not going to quit, why do you say it?
It's out of emotions. And I learned something from an elderly person, that when you are emotional, you just keep quiet, don't talk. And make sure the dust settles before you pass your comment.
Doesn't mean that the number of times you've said, oh, I'm going to quit football, I'll quit football, I have quit football. You acted based on your emotions, and you shouldn't have made those comments in the first place.
It's desirable for you to pass such comments. I believe if you are being frustrated by specific group of persons, that this club will frustrate the club and make sure that this club doesn't qualify to play in the Premiership. I don't remember Kwesi's time I was part of any cabal to frustrate a team from qualifying. So Why would somebody say that we are doing mafia? No, if it's mafia, you take it elsewhere, not me. If I have been able to build a solid team, I don't see why you should frustrate me. 2 seasons ago, we qualified. Tama used to qualify because we had 2 points more than Accra Lions. This is where they did the legal somersault, ruled or took a decision on the same matter, but in a different way. And the advice from the appeals committee was that they have to take it to Congress because there's a lacuna. So they have to take it to Congress for amendments to be made. Why that? Because you had ruled earlier on the same matter, and points were deducted. But in this particular regard, we were directed for the points to be added. And when we checked out the ripple effects of the decision of the appeals committee, Tama Youth had lost 2 points to bring us at par with Accra Lions for a decision to be made on head-to-head basis. And it's bizarre.
But you could have contested this as far as you, because we know you.
I shot myself when I tried to file this process at CAS. You know, they had introduced the e-filing, and it was the first time that I had had access to it. And any attempt that I made within a 3-day period, all returned that the file is empty. The file is empty. No, I had paid for my filing fee. I had paid for everything that there is to be paid at CAS. Then send the email of my appeal brief, and I expected CAS to proceed on that. But unfortunately, it's their system, and the feedback was that since we failed to lodge it in the e-filing, they couldn't proceed on the matter. I accepted it in good faith, but I was deeply hurt.
How painful was that?
Very, very painful. Because when you invest in any venture, you expect the investment to grow a year or 2. And I felt the players that we had been able to develop over the period were ready for the premiership. This year, we had to go through the same, mafia work. We played Nania, knowing so well that our next match was Kotoku. The referees were brought from Eastern Region. All the 4 referees were brought from Eastern Region. Meanwhile, over the period that the league had operated, they would bring one referee from Central Region, the other assistant referee will come from Eastern, the other one will come from. And this was the case where we were competing with a club from Eastern Region. But how come that 4 referees will come from the Eastern Region?
But a referee can come from Eastern Region and still be fair.
No.
Why?
The moment the appointment was made, people started calling that this guy will do you in. I said, wow. I have never been to a technical meeting or pre-match. This particular one, I went. This did not stop the referee from showing 2 red cards to my players. Then 8 solid yellow cards or cautions.
If the yellow cards or red cards are deserving,
I wouldn't say so. One of the red cards, it was a genuine red card. But the other one, how can you show red card to a player who has, if a ball hits your thigh and your hand, it's ball to hand. How can you show even a card for that offense? Because it's not deliberate. You show the card and a subsequent red card. You don't do that.
Farmer, we'll come back to this conversation. But
so it's very frustrating.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. But first of all, how did you get into football in the first place?
I started with school football, St. Augustine's. I don't know what came over me, but whilst teaching accounting and business-related courses at St. Augustine's, I felt I could coach. Well, I had played football. At the school level. I also played coach up to Division 2 then. Those times we didn't have Premier. It was Division 2 and Division 1. And if you go to Committee 8 and you ask of me, Pama, or you mention the code name SIC, they will say it's football. That is what I've lived on. And on campus, as Kebas, I used to sponsor a team called AC Milan. We're playing in a league.
Maybe intercommunity football?
Yeah, a league between two halls, Atlantic and Oberhall.
Okay.
And I used to own AC Milan. So I don't know whether it was by divine intervention or what. Maybe God was directing me that this is what you have to do immediately after school. I never even took notice of it. Until 1993, when I went to do my OCTP, off-campus teaching practice at St. Augustine's. And I saw the school team and told the PE masters that I could coach the team. I'd never done coaching before. They gave me the opportunity, and for 3 consecutive times, I qualified St. Augustine's to represent the region in Milo Championship. We also qualified for the VACO tournament. And that should tell you the kind of job that I did there. Makalesian, Matuama, Antonio Bodai, Ishmanado, Dombote, they all passed through my hands. And I cherish those moments.
So you had football in your DNA since you were born?
It's more than my DNA.
What else then?
I mean, I don't know what to say when it comes to football. I quite remember a lady asked me I should choose between football and her. And I said I would choose football. Oh, yeah. Because if you bring yourself to the level of football, I would choose football.
Why?
You see, when I elevate
you chose football over a lady.
When I elevate you above something,
yes,
and you bring yourself up to football level, I will choose football.
So it means that until something is above football, you will not choose that thing over football.
You give me football and God, I will choose God. Are you with me? But God cannot bring himself up to the level of football. It's about football.
So how did Tema Youth come into the picture?
I approached Qatar, a very good friend.
The current
Abu Abri.
The current RFA chairman?
RFA chairman for Greater Accra.
Yeah.
That I needed a club to buy. I wanted to buy a club. Then he proposed Ophir Youngsters. We went in not knowing somebody had expressed interest in Ophir Youngsters and paid. Made advance payment. We didn't know. It happened at our blind side. So when we finally paid, fully paid for Ophir Youngsters, Sportsnet took us to court. It was Justice Amadou Tanko, who was our lawyer, and that is where I cherished him.
Which year was this?
Within 15 minutes, that was 2005.
Okay.
Within 15 minutes, you could read the document to see where the flaws were. So he went and he considered to the alternative relief. The alternative relief was that if you cannot get me the club, then give me back my money. So he said, Honorable Judge, I'll plead to the alternative relief. And the alternative relief was satisfied. And we had our club. So the league started 3 matches without Tema Youth.
How much did you pay for it then?
If I'm not lying, it's less than 10,000 Ghana cedis. I should think so.
Yeah, 10,000.
Yeah, those times.
But those days, yeah,
it was good. It was good money.
It was some good money. But you've been rich for a while.
No. I've been a hustler since the days. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Whatever I've been able to achieve, acquired, it was through my sweat and toil, and I enjoy that. I don't think I would have made it up to this level if I was pampered. I saw the need for me to strive hard to achieve so many things in life, and I went for it. I started my investment banking project, and that's what fetched me the needed money to support my football project.
2005 to date, that's like 17 years, if my mathematics is
you are right.
Tell us about the journey of Tema Youth. How has it been like?
It's been topsy-turvy. Tema Youth has always been At the center of controversies. A small club. We came to the Premiership. And we had this legal suit staring at us. That is the Sportnet one. When we got to the Premiership, House of Folk versus Tamayut, it brought the famous Otukwe issue.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Clotte, we took the matter to CAS. At that time, GFA had not made provision in the statutes that when you are aggrieved by the grievance procedure at the FA, you can proceed to CAS. So the case could not see the day of light until we had issue with Dreams FC. Daniel Goza. And we took the matter to court. I knew Goza very well, so nobody could deceive me on that. And I promised the then chairman of the disciplinary committee that this matter will go as far as CAS. He thought I was joking.
Who was that?
Prosper Harrison.
The current executive, general secretary of the FA.
Yes. And that is why I'm told that there's a cliche at the FA saying that it's payback time.
Has it been worth it investing in Tamayut?
Oh, very, very. I've never regretted in doing so. Initially, it wasn't easy. At a point, we have to even credit the fuel that we are going to play matches with. It's not been easy. You have to sell a whole car before you can play a match at Brekum. And that should tell you how we have struggled financially to make sure Tamayut operates at a certain level. But as we speak now, there is every effort to whatever we want to achieve. And I will leave them to Providence. Let God judge us.
The early days, how was it like balancing Tamayut and getting your family acceptance that I'm going to put my money into football?
It was hell. It was hell. They would send my case to me, and the question would be, Papa, what do you do for a living? I say, football. I'm a football administrator. Then they would tell you, Papa, football is a game. And I knew where the message was coming from. But I was challenged and motivated that I will prove to these kids and the family that football is very lucrative depending on how you approach it. I never came into football for the fun of it. I came into football for the business and the football economy.
You've always seen football as a business.
Oh yeah, it is a business. That is how come when I go to Congress, my eyes are red.
I remember reading a story about how you said that sometimes investing in football, but sometimes people will say you are mad to invest.
It's like a curse. I call it football curse. You buy a player, you nurture that player, the player will one day come to you and say, my contract is finished, I'm gone. And this is a player you took out of nowhere. But by the laws of the game or the regulations governing football, he's a free person by Bossman ruling. He's a free person after 3 or 5 years with you. And you say, why would I do that for another team to come and pick such a player? You go into football, you pay bonuses, you go and see a spiritualist, pray for me, you spend money. So you are spending money for your team to win, for you to go and pay the bonus. Doesn't make sense to you.
But are you suggesting that
if they lose, you are not paying bonus?
No, but are you suggesting that you engage spiritualists to pray for you to win?
Nabila, I'm a spiritual being. When you're about to eat, you pray to God for you to have a successful meal. So far as I live as a human being, I have to attend to my maker for good fortunes in every game that I play. I don't think it's a bad practice. If you're a Muslim, you go your Muslim way. And that is how Tamayut has always been. I don't force Muslims
to
worship in Christian way.
So every single match, Tamayut sees a special.
It's not only Tamayut. Every team.
No, but you are speaking as Tamayut owner here.
Every team. Whoever will tell you we don't do
no,
it.
But as you do it doesn't mean that others will.
Even Barcelona, they do it. Barcelona. You remember this Leicester thing? Have you forgotten?
When the monks were
go to Barca, they burn candles, they do all manner of things. They're behind closed doors. You don't see what people think football is about the 90 minutes on the field of play. It goes beyond 90 minutes. Players the last time the focus was on Kudus. He was praying before a match.
Yeah.
And he was the man of the match, which means God heard his prayers. The South Americans, before they march onto the pitch, they will bend, do sign of cross before they march onto the pitch. All these things are superstition. All these things are spiritual.
They are spiritual. But they don't pay money to people.
We have superstition. Who told you? We have superstition and we have spirituality of football. It's a whole topic. Don't let us veer off into that.
we will not veer off. But tell me pretty quick, how was it like getting your mother to accept that you should put money?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I quite remember one time he moved to NDK Financial Services, climbed the four steps high, and to Emmanuel Chireme to tell him that, why are you doing that to my son? You are here, you are tired working. I wanted my son to be a banker, but he doesn't want. He says he wants to do football. The moment my mother left, Chireme called me and said, your mother came here. I said, to do what? To express her emotions about what you are doing. But we know what you are doing. You soldier on. I'll let your mom know that there is money in football. Unfortunately, she didn't live that long to realize what I got from football.
Have you made
Otherwise,
money
I would have solid money. Very good money. And we'll make more money.
How much have you made from football?
Oh, people that are come and start.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. But how much have you made from
Leave
football?
it as it is.
But
I've made good money. Yeah, I've made good money.
More than you've invested in Tama Youth?
Oh yeah, of course. You see, Tama Youth, we are not much cost driven.
If you are to approximate how much you've invested in Tama Youth, how much do you think you've invested in the club?
You mean Tama Youth?
Yes.
Oh, let me say about $1.5 million.
Within the 17 years?
Yeah, about $1.5 million.
And you've made 20 million euros?
No. I'll go close to 4 or 5
million euros?
That is cool.
That's quite some good money.
Oh, you have to.
But have you invested in something else?
We want an academy to take off on the ground. We are contemplating either leaving that project or selling off the land and buying an already established academy somewhere in the eastern region and run it.
Palmer, tell me, let's wrap up on the conversation of Tama Youth. The biggest export that you've ever had in the history of Tama Youth. But who has made you the most money?
Joseph Pinto. That's one just off my head. It's Joseph Pinto.
How much did he bring to the club?
3 million euros. It was 2.8 million euros. We had to pay solidarity to other teams that trained. So I asked Fadama, got part of it.
Oh,
the
okay.
cake. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about 2.85 million euros. That's good money.
And the biggest export?
It's Thomas Partey. He went through unapproved routes. It was smuggled.
That story, do you mind sharing it?
Yeah, it was smuggled out of the country. But yet, at a given point, we said, no, we shouldn't go in with malicious intent. We should allow the boy to develop. And at a given point, when he finally moved to Arsenal, we all realized that we couldn't have sold him for what we got out of the boy in terms of solidarity. Compensation.
So you made money from his move to Arsenal?
Yeah.
How much?
I say those that are owed.
1 million euros?
No, it's not up to 1 million.
About 800,000.
Let's put dollars.
$800,000.
Yeah, that's how much you could make out of it.
And then you made good money.
I have been fortunate.
After he went to unapproved.
You need that luck to run football. You need it, and God has been so kind to me. I'm most grateful.
If Tama Youth has given you so much? Why did you get into the GFA in the first place?
It's the duty to serve at a given level, and I feel that I have a lot of resource up my sleeves to contribute to the running of football in the country. So in 2010 or so, I offered myself to be elected as an executive committee member.
Yeah.
And it was fun. Chairman told me, oh, as for the executive committee, you are just at the bare level. I said, no, I would like to work. And I wasn't so much interested in the MCO elections, so I allowed it to stay as
MCO, you meant the emergency committee?
Yeah. And the reason was very simple. I just entered the executive committee. I needed time to learn the ropes before I will offer myself for another challenge. That's how come I stayed as that for 8 solid years until Anas came to demise the FA. But it has been very, very, very fruitful. I've served on various committees, vice for under 17, chairman for the under 20, vice for the Blasters, and chairman for the Blasters. I served as the finance committee chairman for 7 solid years. And so when the FA financial statement,
that much to be managing
when the FA financial statement breached, I understand it because I've dealt with the bare numbers over a given period of time. But when we talk, instead of people to look at what you are critiquing, they rather see it from a political angle. I will not use corporate governance to do politics, as some people have done.
At what point did you decide that you want to become GFA president?
I didn't take that decision, and I like that approach. I am a student of contingency management, and within the contingency management or the situational management, you realize that, situational leadership, you don't impose yourself
on people.
I returned from a business trip, I think Côte d'Ivoire, Mauritania, and I think Sierra Leone. When I came, group of executive council members, old executive committee members, approached me and said they feel I have the qualities to lead the FA. And I obliged. I didn't impose myself on the leadership. And when we started and we were moving, they were giving the positive aspect of things that I was doing at the executive committee level.
That quest to become GFA president did not materialize. In the course, you were disqualified for making certain comments, and in fact, for owing the GFA money.
Under bizarre circumstances. Let's put it there.
How were the bizarre circumstances? I remember I wrote to FIFA about the request of the normalization committee for you to pay them a percentage of Joseph Pinsel's transfer and that of Gabriel Leve. I remember so well. I remember FIFA, in fact, FIFA did not even respond via email. They called me on phone to speak to me on it. And that was where I realized that they had also written to the normalization committee to respond. And you recall there were stories outside that some anonymous journalist has written to FIFA and all these things. Why? You signed on to that regulations of the FA that says that if you transfer a player, you give a percentage to the GFA. So why did you not pay that money?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with paying the 10%. No, I don't have any problem.
Why did you not pay if you don't have problem?
Joseph Pencil transferred outside the jurisdiction of Ghana.
You've said it many times.
Yes, and that is the truth. You see, within our TMS, the one we use to transfer
matching system,
any activity that is conducted, the system records it. So we call it trail. It will give you the trail.
Yeah.
Belgian FA request for ITC from Ghana Football Association. That was the trail. GFA failed to respond to the ITC request. So GFA, they actually failed to respond to the ITC request. 15 days is there. 15 days after that, FIFA invoked their own article, Annex 3.
And they will issue a provisional.
And issue the provisional ITC. Asks if a member association can issue a provisional ITC. So the GFFA, they failed to issue the ITC. So why would I pay you for services not done?
No, no. When you were sending Joseph Pinsel to Frank Veros, didn't you pay the FA? They did not release the ITC.
I paid.
So if
I paid for the ITC to be released, and you see, technically speaking, any player, whether on loan or permanent transfer, the moment you move outside Ghana, you are deregistered. You are deregistered because a player must be registered with a club. The whole world do.
Are you suggesting
with a club?
Joseph Pinsel was not registered with Tamayut?
When he left?
Yes.
Okay, he couldn't have been registered with Tamayut.
So how come the money, when they were buying him, the money came to you?
When you listen, you understand.
Okay.
The moment the player moves out, the player is deregistered.
Okay.
So Joseph Pinsel was not
a player
of Tamayut.
Okay.
By federative right.
Okay.
Mean registration.
Yes.
Okay? But we had economic right in the player. Because the boy went on loan. So the question is, if the player had not been registered by Ghana Football Association, how could he have been a player of Ghana Football Association? And for that matter, 10%. That 10% is paid on players who are registered in Ghana. When he finished with his loan, the boy, upon returning from the loan, Tamayut should have what? Should have re-registered the boy because he was first deregistered. Are you with me? Tamayut should have re-registered the boy. We never re-registered the boy. So the boy moved from Hungarian FA to what? To the Belgian FA because in the FIFA regulations, they say 30 clear months upon expiration of your contract, you remain a member of that particular association for 30 clear months. So as at that time, Joseph Pinsel was a member of the Hungarian Football Association and not Ghana Football Association.
In your quest to become GFA president, on a hindsight, do you think you should have paid that money?
No. You do things on principle. You don't say because I want to be leader, I have to pay my way out. No, you don't do that. Live exemplary life or give exemplary leadership to people who follow. Those issues that they brought were non-tangential.
Are you
people owe the FA. Yeah, they stood for the FA presidential slot.
But Keto Krako recently said
people with worse records.
Keto Krako recently said that anyone who pays the FA, they will pursue them for it.
But the balance sheet doesn't show. It's not only Tamayut that is showing. It's rhetoric. That's what we call rhetorical statement.
You see what? Were you targeted?
Certainly.
By who?
By the powers that be.
Who were the powers that be?
Nabila, when the statute of the FA, the new one, was at the draft level, someone called me from the FA, said, we wanted to meet you personally on the statutes, new statutes of the FA. And I said, no, statutes does not concern my persona, as with a say. It certainly concerns Tamayut as a Division 1 club. So if you want to discuss any issue, why don't you gather all Division 1, 48 clubs? Then we all share ideas on things that affect us. I may go and point to one aspect of the statutes that may not inure to the benefit of Tamayut. But of what consequential effect will it be? So call all of us to meet. I say it's too known. Why would they direct us to go?
Who called you at the FA?
I will not mention the name.
Why would you not mention the name?
I got that person. I had photograph of that person meeting some candidate on the 23rd of October 2019.
Who is that person?
Prior to elections.
Who is that person?
I never know that person, which means I'm not vindictive.
No, relax. Chairman, we're having a conversation here. First, you said the powers that be. You've not mentioned who the powers that be that disqualified you. Now you are also alleging that...
I'm not alleging. Everything I've stated is the basic fact.
But if you're not able to put out
the picture,
who that person is...
you mean the picture?
No, I'm not asking for the picture.
Just to mention it?
Yes, who was that person?
I have pictorial evidence to that effect.
And a normalization committee member? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. After the elections,
Dr. Kofi Amwa?
That I won't mention it. After the elections, that person called a candidate.
Now the fully noted?
And said my candidate won.
Now the fully.
So the person had a candidate. To,
is it now the fully noted?
I wouldn't mention the name.
No, but the way it was Osei Kufuor, Dr. Kofi Amwa. Now the fully noted.
It could be the three of them, but certainly.
So
not,
so all of them. So all of them met.
Not Osei Kufuor. Not Osei Kufuor.
But Dr. Kofi Amwa.
You heard the tape. The tape was there.
Now the fully noted. Okay, Dr. Kofi Amwa. Yeah,
it could be both.
No, it couldn't be both because the tape I heard, it was Dr. Kofi Amwa who mentioned that this Palmer guy.
Others might have played roles.
Because
leading to
Kofi Amwa mentioned that this Palmer guy. Now this Palmer guy.
You know,
I refer to that tape.
Yeah.
So he met some candidates. Yeah. Was it journalists or candidates?
It's not. No, I wouldn't.
But he said,
please, it's not Kofi Amwa who met the candidate. It's not Kofi Amwa. I have not said anything.
If it's not Kofi Amwa, then it's now the falling out.
It could be. I have the pictures.
She and who? George Free.
Let's leave it as that. No, George was not part of it.
Wow, that's quite an interesting one.
But I didn't want to nail him, the person, upon all the things that they did to discuss. I didn't want to nail the person because you have to be magnanimous when it comes to some of these issues. The FA presidency was not president at all costs. I wanted to serve my country at a certain level. Look at the fabricated ethics committee. Instead of answering that, yes, I've been charged. I was never charged and convicted.
I'm just coming to that point.
By the ethics committee.
But you shouldn't have made that point, did you? Do you think you should have made the point that because Ghana failed to pay indemnities?
Indemnity is an acceptable distance within our FIFA regulations. So when I say that we failed to pay indemnity, it isn't an ethical issue. Even the ethics committee chairman, when George Free came or appeared before them, he told him, George, had you listened to the tape? He said, I'm just listening to it. But is there anything that is explosive by the statement that Palmer made? He said, no. Listening to it, there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it. Why were you called in the first place by the
they asked me
ethics committee
to apologize. No, certainly. Come and assist in investigation. It's different from being charged. I wasn't charged. Otherwise, I would have lost my position as executive committee member for misconduct if I was charged and convicted.
But around that time, many had claimed that the FA was being managed by family and friends and cronies, so it was difficult for them to actually take you out. In fact, they had said you people were powerful.
Nabila, when they listened to the tape, they said, Palmer, this doesn't mean you will not defend the FA.
But CAS agreed with that statement.
That's another matter.
If CAS agrees with that statement,
it means that let me quote.
It was in a bad taste.
Let me quote somebody who was directly involved in the running or the normalization, that the decision was going to be monumental. It was going to change a lot of things in Ghana football. So if it turned out to be different things.
So if so if you thought that
that person said it, I didn't say it.
Who is that person?
I won't mention it.
Chama, you're not being fair to this conversation.
I'm being fair.
You're not being fair to this conversation.
You see, you have to protect your image. You have to also protect certain persons who divulge information to you.
You did not win. Kurt won. It's been 3 years since he came into the FA, and he's organized 3 congresses. And I remember the recent one. That was the second time you were even attending his congress, and you had reservations about their financial statement.
Certainly.
Why?
When you look at any financial statement of an institution, it speaks well or bad about that institution. And financial analysts will talk about the quality of the financial statement. Nabila, my kid who just started accounting, when you show balance sheet of a sole proprietor, the person will know that this firm is a sole proprietorship. Because for sole proprietor, it's capital, add profit, less drawings. That is how their capital section is what is structured.
So why is it a problem?
There's a problem. The problem here is that company limited by guarantee is a company. So you go to the capital section of the company limited by guarantee. Ab initio, it should be able to tell you that this is the financial statement of a company limited by guarantee. So your capital structure will tell you the type of company that you are. Are you with me? You go to the Ghana FA balance sheet and you have accumulated capital. There is nothing like accumulated capital in our 2019 Act or Act 179, the previous one. There's nothing like accumulated capital. Those limited by shares, you have stated capital. And Ghana, instead of reserves, we do surplus. Are you getting it? So all these elements will have to show on the balance sheet. When it shows on the balance sheet, the moment you take it, that balance sheet will inform you that this is the balance sheet of a company. But we have accumulated fund.
So if you have accumulated fund, does that make the statement wrong? Does it mean that monies at the FA are not in the right order?
No, about the quality of the financial statement that is being churned out. And when I develop it, UEFA is a registered company limited by guarantee. Go and take their balance sheet, you will see it. FIFA is a registered company limited by guarantee, and they are all non-profit. Go and take their financial statement, then you will understand what I'm telling you. Ghana Football Association is limited by guarantee and also a non-profit making organ. Go and take our balance, and you will see a complete dichotomy between what we are presenting and what they are presenting.
So I want to understand. Even if they present it wrongly, does it mean that there's something wrong?
There's everything wrong, because that accumulated fund could be used as a balancing figure. If the account fails to balance, they will use it as a balancing figure. But when you have association capital, as FIFA has described this, you go and check the financial statement of FIFA will say associations what? Capital, add reserves. But it should have been associations capital, which will be consistent, unless you have admitted new members and you have taken additional money from them. That is where the associations capital will change. But here the accumulated fund has been altered. So check the FIFA one and you understand what when they talk of accumulated fund, it connotates operations of a firm that has engaged in what we call single entry. It means there are no proper books of records being kept at the FA. That is the signal. So you remember the auditors or Fred never touched on the accumulated fund because it's untenable. It's not done.
So it means that the FA they don't keep proper accounts. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the finances.
That is what the financial statement is suggesting. And I say, come off it, because it doesn't give a good image of the FA. I spoke about the assets, especially building appreciates in value. So no matter how you bring the theoretical this thing here and whatnot, it will not suffice. The fact of the matter is that you are declaring intangible asset of 12,700 and something Ghana cedis. This is immaterial to be an asset. Meanwhile, your expenditure is more than the asset that you are declaring. So give the building what we call proper valuation. So you do revaluation. When you do the revaluation and you approach any investor, the investor will know that this FE is of substance. Because if you have asset worth about 80 million Ghana cedis or $80 million, that person can give the association money for us to operate. Go through the financial statement and it's laughable. I saw Glow money being acknowledged as a revenue. I said, how is that possible? It's not possible in accounting. Glow sponsorship happened some years back. And in accounting, we have what we call we have accrual concept. Whether you have received the money or you have not received the money, whether you have paid the expenditure or you have not paid, acknowledge that this sponsorship pertains to 2013 and not what 2021.
So they shouldn't have added it to their current revenue.
It's not part of your revenue. How could that be part of? So it simply means you are realizing income on cash basis, and you cannot do that. Who does that? It's not done. Judgment debt as an expenditure. How is it possible? If I owe you and I come and pay, is it an expense? It's not an expense. So all these point to the fact that we have quality issues with the financial statement that was submitted to Congress. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me quickly veer off and talk about the budget. President Kurt Okreku engaged in politics. Look at the president's speech.
Yes.
You have his picture. Is it done? I've never been to annual general meeting or a corporate environment where the president or the chief executive of the has his picture as a cover. No, what is normally done is that first page, if the president is going to give the speech, they will put his passport copy at the first page, but not a cover page. It's not politics. He made a lot of statements. That is political.
I suggesting he can't make politics.
Why would you do politics with corporate governance? We are talking about sensitive issues that affect the operations of the FA. You brought a whole budget. There was no capital expenditure budget. Yet you say you are going to acquire pickups and give it to the RFAs. Where is it in the budget? They should show me where they have it in the budget. You say you are going to construct a whole technical center, make it anew, change the scope at Ghanaman. Where is it sitting in the budget? Nothing on capital expenditure. So if this is not campaign, what else can you term this? It's surely campaign. Look at their budget, and I will tell you. Budget, we have budgeting and budgetary control. The process of budgeting is different from budgetary control. Are you getting it? You don't have to wait till the end of the year for you to know that your budget will not materialize. So what people do is that they will have a cash flow statement. The cash flow statement is compartmentalized. You have either into quarters or into months. So that by the end of the month, the finance committee can go and sit and see if we are meeting targets. That is how come when the government of Ghana presents its budget to Parliament, there is a mid-year review. So there should be an avenue for the budget to be reviewed. But they have lumped everything. You cannot see what is to be achieved.
Incompetency at the FA?
Oh, certainly if this is not incompetency, what else would I say? The budget portrays a lot.
It means that you were part of the team that went and appointed an incompetent auditor to manage
You voted.
You voted, yes. So if you were part
I don't have any problem with that.
Majority carried the vote. So you appointed an incompetent auditor to manage your affairs.
The auditor?
Yes.
The auditor was imposed on us.
How? Because I was at that Congress.
Check that Congress. We didn't appoint him. He was imposed on us. They chose it. They chose the auditor. Go and read it. They chose him. This is my choosing. It became an issue. We didn't choose him. No, we didn't choose him. They say KPMG failed to respond. Then another one, PWC. When you compare this, and this, we would like to deal with this. Why is it that the auditor couldn't come and answer?
But still, you approved it. They approved. It was approved. I was at that Congress.
It was imposed. Just as he wanted to roller coaster the financial statement and the budget this year. And we go to a whole Congress. Sponsorship has been obtained by Ghana Football Association for the clubs. Nobody has cited the agreement in the contract. But some of us who have been playing with figures, I can confidently tell you that that Bear Power sponsorship is not more than $1 million.
Why?
Oh, It's not more than $1 million.
Just tell us, why is it not more than $1 million?
How can you give me 2 million and you say activation is what? It's 1 million. How are you going to capture that in your books? In your books, you can only declare $1 million as the sponsorship figure. In accounting, we have allowable expenditure and non-allowable expenditure. If it's advertising or promotion, it has to appear as promotion and advertising. You cannot lump that and say that is part of sponsorship. So within the books or records of the FA, how much have we received for the sponsorship? And clubs are getting 25,000 cool like that out of $2 million? No. In the Glow sponsorship that we had, 3 million was for the sponsorship. Activation was 3 million, but that wasn't part of the FA because you see, you have to create a dustbin. That money has never been to the FA.
But no.
So why would you say that you have given
you've
the
not
FA
been
2
fair to
million?
this FA. They've got so many sponsorships.
Which one?
Recently they signed a deal with Flora. Just mentioned Bed Power. Now they're signing a deal with Mara Metaverse.
That cryptocurrency thing.
Is it a cryptocurrency company?
Go and sign an illegality and you say you have signed sponsorship. It's an illegality. SEC has pronounced, the Bank of Ghana they've also given their position on cryptocurrency. Why would you do that? That every sponsorship that is coming to the FA, there's a question mark on it. The same happened to the Macron deal. Then it metamorphosed into Temple. We knew, some of us, we knew for a fact that we were buying our own balls. FA was using our own money, to buy balls for us. Yes, they say Macron was giving a sponsorship. How is it possible?
You're kind of suggesting that there are so many wrongs at the FA, and I don't really know what to make of it.
Before you sign a deal, you see, Nabila, as any leader, somebody asked me, why do you think you'll be a better leader? I say, one, the quality of the decision is very important. Then you surround yourself with quality people. I've forgotten the management, somebody who defined management, said, you are managing people. So if you have bad people following you, the kind of information or decision that you
So CAT has bad followers.
The quality is low.
CAT has bad followers.
Otherwise, why would you go and be dealing with cryptocurrency and say I've brought sponsorship? It's just like our former headmaster who went and
so
bought
would you want to replace CAT? Would you want to replace CAT as GFA president?
We are not there yet. I have not considered any political change in my fortunes.
But even if you're not there, based on what Cash said,
I'm hearing he says he will never clear me. Anybody who tells me
who will never clear you?
Anybody who tells me, I say, oh, tell him that I'm not subjected to his clearance or not. No, that is raising himself too much above a certain level. No, he should lower himself.
Do you have issues with CAT?
No, not at all.
Have you ever fought him at an ESCO meeting?
We have engaged in exchanges, but Kwesi stopped it.
You are going to fight?
No.
It means that you've had issues with him for many years. So most of these things you are saying, people can just look at it and go like,
no, there was a
this
report,
man already has issues.
There was a report that he vehemently against it. And I was going to respond, and Kwesi stopped me. Because he knew that what will come out of my mouth
but the CAS verdict can clear CAS verdict, because CAS verdict also said that the normalization committee had the power to disqualify you.
Me?
Yes.
But
based on the things they raised.
Can you point to any part of the report that is suggesting or implicating me that I cannot contest for future elections? Point to one.
No, there's none. It means that you are hopeful. You are hopeful that you can contest.
I say I will never impose myself
the next elections,
on people.
The next election is 2023. If you're not contesting, do you want Kate
I will support another candidate, not Kate. That one, somebody who will do such a thing to my club, now I'll go and support him. I'll be a hypocrite to be doing that.
Is that why you were part of the team that went and met in Kumasi and wanted to change
They say it's payback time.
Who is paying who?
For Dreams, what happened to Dreams? It's payback time. That's why they are doing all those things. I don't care. Football cannot put pegs to my progress.
It's because you've made so much money from football. That's why you think.
Not that. But as you said, I'm versatile and I can always adapt and adjust to a different environment. No, football cannot stop me. That is what he doesn't appreciate. Oh, you're good to my youth. We are going to collapse this club. By backing a false claim, somebody who has never trained a player, he should go to Cape Coast.
But recently, you took the GFA to CAS again.
Yeah, we are there.
You just mentioned the first one didn't go through. This one went through. How did that happen? But just a quick one. We just need to wrap up the conversation pretty quick on that one. Why are you dragging the FA to CAS? Because they have asked you to pay some money to some club that also played a role in the...
Ask anybody who is into football. How can a club that is not on the player passport claim that they've trained the boy at a particular point in the boy's career? The player passport determines those who have trained the player over the period. So how can anybody lay that claim?
You appealed and you lost, so it means you have to pay.
Which one?
You appealed the decision of the GFA, and then that's why you went to CAS.
I've not lost at CAS.
No, I mean you've not lost at CAS, but I'm just saying that you appealed the decision of the FA.
At the appeals level, at the FA.
In the first place, why don't you want to give them money? Whether they played a role in or not, we all know Palmer to be generous. I remember prior to the FA elections, you were generous.
Generous with $1 million. No, I don't think that generosity will.
You built a mosque in Bekwai. Or you
assisted.
You assisted in building the mosque. In fact, you gave money to clubs, women clubs in the northern region. And so your generosity.
One thing about life is that anything that is directed towards the work of God contribute to your quota. I intend to even do more. Yeah, I intend to do more.
My final conversation. Let's go to the World Cup. We are going to the World Cup.
It's a national assignment. We wish the Blasters very well. We know if the coaches are going to be meticulous in their selection process, Ghana abounds in talent that can at least get us out of the group. I'm sounding a reminder to the coaches that in any tournament, you are as good as your squad list. If the squad list is not good, or you pack it not on merit, then be prepared to come home early.
And that was Palmer there sharing his thoughts with Muftau Nabila Abdullahi. But from the sports, let's quickly get into some hard issues. It's time now for me to share with you, Ghana, for my blunt thoughts for today. And I've titled it, The Enemy Within. Why Ghana's leaders are so far off the delivery mark. Brothers and sisters, Queen Elizabeth II, daughter of King George VI, kicked the bucket this past 8th day of September, making the headlines around the world as the second longest serving monarch in world history, only behind Louis XIV of France, who reigned for a jaw-dropping 72 years. Elizabeth II is, of course, beloved by some and hated by others, a figure revered and reviled at the same time. Now, owing to the generation in which I was born, I have some fond memories of the Queen. But owing to that same factor, I also have not so fond memories of her. I am actually indifferent on most counts. I'm not all about whether she was good or bad. History has an interesting way of judging that. One of my favorite recollections concerning her, though, goes all the way back to November 1961, when she was photographed, as you can see right behind me, dancing with a black man for the first time. The man's name was Kwame Nkrumah, yes, Ghana's first president. I've also seen pictures of the Queen with the royal scepter containing a 500-carat diamond known as the Great Star of Africa, or Cullinan I, the world's largest known clear-cut diamond. The original diamond from which this 500-carat diamond was cut actually weighed about 3,106 carats in its natural form and was the size of a human heart. Today, there are growing calls in South Africa from which that diamond was stolen in 1905 for a return of this looted treasure. Queen Elizabeth II of blessed memory didn't do the stealing personally, of course, as the gift was actually inherited from King Edward VII, to whom it had been given in 1907, long before she became queen in February 1952. But she's used those crown jewels for decades, and now King Charles will too. But while we may hate and cast aspersions at the monarchy in Britain for the many ills visited upon African countries that they colonized, as well as other countries across the world like India and Iraq, I cannot also fail to point their loyalty to their country and their cause. Yes, they chose wrong over good many times, but all in the interest of their country. My problem? Most of our leaders here in Africa are simply unable to be this protective of even what is ours, which we give them in trust to administer for our good. What do they do oftentimes? They choose their selfish interests and even foreigners' interests over ours. And that is the pure madness I cannot for the life of me comprehend. How come? So here in Ghana, men and women of the land caught in illegal mining, aka galamsey, will be placed in the cooler in the hundreds and left to rot. Yet foreigners will be treated with kid gloves and even given a pat on the back, like we saw in April 2019 when Senior Minister Yaosafo Mafo disgracefully told us when, villainous Aisha Huang, a looter of gold and a despoiler of our heritage and our very livelihood, made her merry way out of our jurisdiction. He told us at the time that putting Aisha in jail in Ghana was not going to solve our economic problems. That was our own, looking us in the face and spitting into it. Well, she's back again to do even more damage. But thanks to a tip-off, and not thanks to any security alertness of our authorities, as some are purporting, she's been nabbed again. My dear friends, I ask myself, in which serious country would Aisha have got away with what she did? We have been told so many different stories by Mr. President, the Interior Ministry, the Information Minister, Aisha's lawyer, the prosecution in court, the Ghana Immigration Service. The list goes on and on. But tellingly, the narratives are all different. There can only be one truth, which must mean that many of these people in power have been lying to us. But who and why are the big questions. Who then are our avowed enemies? Who then are those actively despoiling our heritage? Our very own misleaders. Others come and try to take advantage of us, and their collaborators are our very own? How come? And while these misleaders, who are the enemies right in our midst because they connive with others to rob us, their kith and kin, they cannot even manage the plentiful resources available to us for our good. Today, inflation stands at 33.9%, having jumped 20 percentage points since January this year. And our misleaders are clueless to find a remedy. Just hold and take a look with me. These are the timelines of Aisha Huang in our country. Aisha, of course, in 2017 was arrested over galamsey, remanded, put on trial. In December 2018, the state dropped charges against her, the court discharged her, and she was reported deported. April 2019, Osafo Mafo says Aisha's deportation was best for Ghana, like I reiterated. Then, Ekufuado says Aisha's deportation was a mistake for Ghana. In September 2022, Aisha is rearrested over galamsey. Then she's sent to court and remanded, and now the president says he is not sure whether Aisha in fact left Ghana in 2018. But put that side by side with what we are seeing in our economy. Look at this. January 2022 to August 2022. Look at the difference when it comes to inflation. 9.9%, that was in January. That was 2021's figure. And look at the 2022 figure, 13.9%. And look at the difference. Half year. By August 2021, it stood at 9.7%. But look at August 2022, 33.9%. When you look at fuel prices, and there's a reason I am bringing this to bear, look at the increment. Year on year. You look at petrol, represented by the red mark, and diesel by the purple mark. In 2015, we were purchasing petrol at 2 cedis 77 pesos. Diesel at 2 cedis 64 pesos. Just look at the figures and the trajectory. And look at August 2022. In fact, we started the year with some figures. I'll give you that shortly. Now petrol is selling at 11 cedis 82 pesos, and in many places it is higher than that. And diesel is going for 14 cedis 26 pesos. In fact, as of September the 2nd, we're purchasing diesel for 14 cedis and 50 pesos. Those were the rates. 14 cedis 50 pesos, and that was on September the 2nd. That is an increment of 7 cedis 51 pesos. For the farmer who uses heavy equipment, the trotro driver, the businesswoman whose business has to rely on a generator from time to time. Petrol, in like manner, has risen in price by 4 Ghana cedis 50 pesos since January, shooting from 7 cedis and 5 pesos to 11 cedis and 55 pesos within the period. Now, editing the lyrics of Idris Abdul Karim's 2004 song, I guess I could fittingly say, Nagana jaga jaga, everything scatter scatter, poor man they suffer, kposa, wahala in the air. Are you aware, Ghana, as I speak to you now, that some 20% of our population is so poor that this group lives below the poverty line? Are you also aware that 8.8 million of us lived in slums in Ghana in 2020, and the number definitely would have increased by now? Are you aware of that? That is an increment of 60% from the 5.5 million figure recorded just a few years ago in 2017. Because of skyrocketing cost, a sachet of water will soon be 50 pesos. Transport fares are set to go up again as drivers' unions are pushing for another increment, this time a whopping 30%. When, I ask, will this raging madness that has ravaged our economy be banished? When? When will our suffering finally be alleviated? To make matters even worse, the Ghana cedi is back to factory settings and is hemorrhaging badly to the hard currencies of our world. Let's face it, these misleaders we have chosen to lead us are the new colonialists, the new imperialists. They do not come to us like the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the British did. But they are even more dangerous, for they don the sheep's clothing of innocence, claiming to be one of us. Yet when we entrust our power into their hands, they turn around and show us their fangs, doing worse things than even some colonizers did. To them, we're simply to be exploited, to their benefit, of course. Even worse, these misleaders loot from us and will not even invest it here, but lodge it in foreign bank accounts, the banks of the same colonizers who raped our nations and destroyed what could have been. This is why these shackles too must fall, because we still can be if we stop forcing misleaders who are square pegs into leadership roles which are round holes. Our situation, Ghana 4, also reminds me of the lyrics of another song, Koda's Things Are Not the Same. In fact, Koda sings, things are not the same anymore. Christosum, Ayen Sempi. My rendition, things are not the same anymore. Omambwe, Ayen Sempi. A fortnight ago, while in Amsterdam, I encountered Yao. I shall not mention his full name for purposes of anonymity. He is an elderly man I met cleaning at the Schiphol airport. He told me of a sad tale of wanting to make ends meet in Ghana, failing at it and deciding instead to wing it in the Netherlands. It's a menial job he does, but a job that pays the bills all the same, one which allows him to cater for his family in Ghana. The employment minister says this administration has created some 5.3 million jobs since 2017. Sadly, we could not find work for Yao, a man I figured would be in his early to mid-50s. Our own President Akufo-Addo was there too in the Netherlands as he attended the same event I did. You know, I actually wonder what was running through his mind as he saw what I saw, the sheer ingenuity of thinking and implementation in all facets of their national lives, with the little they have, and how we have it all, but seem simply unable to make anything of it at all. But we have a problem. Part of why many of our leaders are the blood-sucking, money-stealing vampires they are has to do with how we have couched the concept of leadership. Someone shared on social media recently a bit about how when he was in school and as senior prefect, in fact, he would get more food, a lot more food. He could take the entire bowl and all of that. We make our leaders feel they deserve everything and we deserve nothing. That is where the problem starts. In a country that works, you see, Aisha Huang, who it would appear was virtually smuggled out of our country by our own government after her crimes against our state, would have been in the can, paying for her sins against that child who cannot access healthcare because of diverted funds that could have gone to the state, or that mother who is slowly dying owing to the pollution to the only water source she has available through mercury poisoning. In any serious country, she would have been under lock and key by now for her initial crimes against our state over the years. In any serious country, we wouldn't have the same Gabia Sario Tridako who vilified others for far less, now telling us that Well, you know what? Why are we overbashing ourselves? After all, she's been apprehended by the security entities. This country is ours, but not really ours. On every side, we are being shortchanged. I keep saying that if we do not watch it, we may someday wake up to a country being recolonized. Not because the structures of colonialism from yesteryear would resurface, but because of our own unbridled taste for foreign things, our high indebtedness, and our crass inability to stand on our own feet economically. We could be sold out on a silver platter. I have every right to be concerned because I have a stake in this enterprise called Ghana. This is the land of my birth. I must fight for it today, tomorrow, and the day after that. But you out there, are you willing to do same? To speak truth to power? Damn the consequences. Damn where you lie on the political spectrum. If Nkrumah had been a coward, we would not have attained independence. Let us, Ghana, arise and set things right, lest the wind we sow today will reap for us a whirlwind of agony, defeat, and shame. It's heartbreaking when you see what other countries are doing. You know why? These achievements are not beyond us. In fact, they are very much within our grasp. I have a friend in Canada who speaks about how Ghanaians there are spearheading development. Yet what do we see in our own backyard? Squalor, wasted resources, serpentine corruption, everything topsy-turvy on its head. What makes the difference? Leadership, and with it, proper planning. That's all these other places have ahead of us. Leaders, sentient thinking leaders, who can spur us all on to the promised land. Yes, I know I'm biting somebody, but I need to do that so we wake up as a people. These are my thoughts, Ghana 4, served to you raw, unedited, undiluted. God richly bless Ghana. Well, after sharing my blunt thoughts, let's get into other topical matters. And there's a surge in rabies cases in the Ashanti region, and health authorities there are worried about it. The region has recorded at least 12 fatal cases. Well, we're going to be having an interaction with Dr. Mabel Awudu, Ashanti Regional Veterinary Officer, on how they are working to curb this. Dr. Awudu, a very good morning to you. Please unmute for us, Dr. Awudu, if you can hear me. Please unmute, Dr. Awudu, if you can hear me, so we can have a conversation.
Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure having you. I hope you're well this morning.
Yes, and I hope you are too.
We're in there. God has given us life, so what can we say? But let's talk about this situation in the Ashanti region, especially where we are seeing this uptick in cases. For how long have you noticed this surge in rabies numbers?
First of all, let me say that my name is Mabel Abudu.
Abudu.
Not Awudu. Abudu.
Right. My sincere apologies for that.
It's okay. The data I gave to your colleague yesterday spanned from 2018 to date. From 2018 to today, we had 74 reported cases. Some also coming from the other regions, Bono, Ahafo. But the majority of the cases were from Ashanti region. And so out of the 74, 38 cases were positive. So those 38 cases, victims were 47. So it means that with the 38 positive dog cases, they might have bitten, or they bit 47 people. So definitely some might have died, but it will not end up at our place. For us in veterinary services, we always carry out vaccinations as our daily routine work. But it is important that we institute mass vaccination nationwide. It was a program that was being done when I joined the service. So there was mass vaccination year after year, but along the line, I believe that due to funding, it wasn't really actually happening. But if you go to our clinics, our
veterinary hospitals, both private and government, vaccinations are being done. And then also our staff move from house to house upon request to do vaccinations. But if we want to achieve our aim, the goal that we have set for ourselves, which is by 2030, the country should be free from rabies, then it is incumbent that we carry out this mass vaccination.
So you speak, Dr. Abudu, of the fact that there were 74 cases, 38 of them were positive, and the victims were 47. Do we know, as of now, what the state of these 47 people are? Or the state is, actually?
The data I gave you span from 2018 to date.
Right.
And so I believe, I don't think all of them might have died, because anytime cases are reported to us, we ask them to also seek medical attention. So I believe most of them might have visited the hospital and then given appropriate treatment. But this is just for you to know that something should be done. Because assuming if nothing is done, all these people will go. This is just the reported cases we have received. There are certain times that dog bites people and they just chase it and kill and consume. So we can't even talk about those ones. This is just the official one that got to us. So this figure tells us that something meaningful must be done. But in August, we had a meeting. There's a national bridging workshop on rabies. And the aim is to eliminate rabies from Ghana by the year 2030. I think the work started from 2018, but now it is at the implementation stage. It's a 5-year program. So I believe that, I don't know actually when it will start, maybe by the end of this year or beginning of next year, we are going to have a massive nationwide rabies campaign for a period of 5 years. So I believe with that, we'll be able to achieve our goal.
I just want you to clarify for all of us. I know rabies has its own gestational period and all of that, but maybe to break it down for us, what exactly is rabies? Some people may not be aware of it. Recently, I know of a boy who got scratched, bitten a bit by a Rottweiler. Thankfully, this dog had been vaccinated against rabies. And of course, it's for a year-long period. But what exactly is rabies, and what's the gestational period? How does it manifest in a human being or even in a dog?
Rabies is a viral disease. It is a viral disease. And one can only get it from an infected dog and through bite from an infected dog. That is the main route in which one can get. But yesterday, I was even saying that sometimes the way we handle the dog can also, somebody can also acquire rabies from it. Assuming you have a rabid dog that you have saliva, because the virus is in the saliva, not in the blood. And so when you have saliva dripping out and all over the head, the saliva, and then somebody kill it and then you are picking it up. If you have abrasions on your skin, unknowingly, because the virus is very active, you may even acquire it without knowing that something like that is you have acquired a thing like that. But one can get it mainly through infected rabid dog. And it's a viral disease. And from the dog side, when the dog becomes hyperactive and it runs at anything, especially any moving thing, it bites at anything. And then it will get into paralysis, convulsion, coma, and then death. That is the way it manifests in dogs. The human side also, I think there's delirium, hydrophobia. Even in the dogs too, there's hydrophobia. And then it also causes death. So
Hello, Dr. Abudu. All right, I think we've lost the connection with Dr. Abudu. What I wanted to run by her, though, just looking at the gestational period and all of that, so people would know if they've contracted it and what signs to look out for. These are stark numbers we're looking at, but I wanted to run by her as well the fact that it's not just dogs that can, pass on rabies. I've read about bats and all of that. It's an interesting conversation I would like to have with her. But it's on the back of what we've seen, that uptick in the Ashanti region when it comes to rabies cases, people getting rabid, dogs getting rabid, because these are the ones that we have often around us rather than the other, animals. But as we await interacting with Dr. Abudu, let's play this package on the back of the same discussion.
Infections usually occur following a deep bite or scratch from an animal with rabies. Transmission to humans by rabid dogs accounts for up to 99% of cases in Ghana. Its transmission can be stopped through vaccination. Health authorities say people infected with rabies in the Ashanti region, majority being dog owners who suffered dog bites, have all died. Asante Achim South, Bosomtwe and Kwabri East are some of the latest districts and municipalities to have recorded cases of the disease. Regional Health Director Dr. Emmanuel Kojotingran expressed concerns over the issue.
Recently, we've realized that the number of rabies cases we are getting in Ashanti region is going up. And for the last half year, we've detected close to 8 cases of rabies in the communities. And it's telling you that the dogs are not vaccinated. And this is basically a zoonosis, a disease that's transmitted from animal to man. So whenever you leave these stray animals and they become infected in the community, and unfortunately they bite somebody, then the person will get rabies.
The Ashanti Regional Health Directorate has asked health facilities to be on the alert as the Directorate increases surveillance on the situation. Dr. Tinkran says there's little his outfit could do as unvaccinated stray dogs continue to roam the streets.
We need to talk to maybe the central government to see how best we can provide the vaccines so that all dogs in these communities are vaccinated, and that will help us better than the health system. Rabies is said that when you get it, the fatality is very high. The case fatality is close to about 80%. So you don't have to wait till maybe you are bitten by a dog, because other than that, it will be too late.
The Veterinary Services has since 2018 confirmed rabies cases from its laboratory here in Kumasi. Out of 74 samples received from Ashanti, Bono, Ahafo and the Bono East regions, 34 samples were confirmed positive rabies cases.
Well, we have Dr. Abudu back with us. Let's get the conversation moving forward. So, Doc, I'd like to find out from you, in a human being, what's the gestation period? I just need to know. How long does it take before we start seeing symptoms if someone acquires this viral disease? Dr. Abudu, you would have to unmute again.
It starts from this, it's about, for us in the dog, it's about 14, or the dog and human being 14 and 61. But for the dog, after 2 weeks,
is that days?
If it's
14 and 61 days.
In the dog, let me concentrate more on the dog, because the human being, the period, the interval is between 14 to 61 days. 14. From our side, the dog, when it's having rabies, we put it on quarantine for about 14 days. Sometimes even before 14 days, it starts showing, or a little above 14 days. In the dogs I'm talking about, it starts showing. But in human beings, I believe sometimes it also depends on the place of bite. If you are bitten by your leg side, it takes a little while before it gets to the brain. So that is the interval.
Right. So, for example, if you were bitten on your arm, or maybe let's say on your neck, it means the virus would get to your brain quicker.
Very yes. Very, very faster than. I mean, it is faster than you being bitten around your maybe toe, leg, that side, because the virus needs to multiply and then travel through the nerves, the peripheral nerves, before it will get to spinal cord and then onto the central nervous system. So it depends on the place of bite.
All right. Thankfully, at least we know that dogs would often reach for lower extremities of the body, like the legs. So thankfully, even if you were to get bitten. But how severe is rabies, especially if not treated? You made mention of the fact that we've had some casualties, some fatalities. How severe is it in human beings, and how quickly should people be receiving treatment when they notice any symptoms?
Okay. I always like to concentrate on my side, but of course, we are also involved in human health. So the thing is, once you are bitten by a dog, you need to report to the health center. And then after that, you come to the veterinary services. We need to monitor the dog, whilst the health officials also monitor the victim. So that is the process. So that is what I can say.
Is it possible for someone to get bitten by a rabid dog and not acquire rabies?
It is. It's not every dog bite case that is positive, because there are people who are vaccinating their dogs all the time.
No, I mean a dog that has rabies. Is it possible for you to be bitten by a dog that has rabies and not get it?
No. Once the dog has rabies, you by all means get it. Once it has rabies and it bites you, it's transmitting the virus through the saliva onto you. So you will get it.
Right. Let me also find out from you.
But excuse me, what I wanted to say is that we shouldn't think that, it's not like if you are bitten by a dog all the time, then it means that the dog very good care of their dogs. They are given vaccinations all the time. Dog has a role to play. They protect their environment. Also, when they whelp, when they have puppies, they also protect their puppies. So assuming you approach somebody's house and the dog doesn't know you, he will by all means bite you.
Right.
So we shouldn't, that thing is there. But if a dog has rabies, you will know. Apart from that, most of our population don't normally vaccinate the dog. That is where the issue is. So that's why we are saying that if you are bitten by a dog, a stray dog, report it. Even in someone's house, you report. The medical officer, they know what to do, because they will by all means communicate that to us and also monitor the dog.
Do we have any statistics? You say most of our people who own dogs don't vaccinate them. A few do, but most don't. Do you have any statistics to back what you're saying?
We don't have, but we know that, because if sometimes, some years back when we did the population census, even let me concentrate on Busumtwi alone. Busumtwi, the rabies, the dog population there is more than 5,000, close to 6,000. And I don't think that we even have about 1,000 of them well vaccinated. In the year 2018, there was this mission rabies activity which was done at the place. They started, their aim was to give 5-year rabies program. So they started, I think, 2018, and 2019, the COVID set in, so they stopped. And the statistics that came out from that place, more than 5,000 dogs. So assuming 2008 they did it, 2019 till now, it has not been done. So you can imagine that is Busumtwi alone. If we want to take Ashanti region into consideration, it's a huge number of dogs. And those who can afford the vaccine, if you strike the average, I would say 5% out of those owing dogs. So most of our dogs are not vaccinated. And when you go to the hinterlands, our rural areas, that's where you even have huge populations, because they use them for hunting. But they are not vaccinated.
You're saying something that is I find rather interesting. You say those who can afford the vaccine. How expensive is the anti-rabies vaccine for dogs?
Surprisingly, it's not expensive. Surprisingly. Because at the rural areas, they will even tell you that when you vaccinate and you are charging 10 cedis, people cannot afford it. 10 cedis.
So how
Meanwhile,
is that the cost? 10 cedis? Is that the cost?
At that place, yes. Because but when you come to the cities, the clinics, the price is not like that. Because you see, they are also buying syringes, iodine, cotton wool, and things like that. So in the cities, the prices are different. But in the rural areas, they cannot afford to charge, let's say, even 30 cedis. Because even with the 10 cedis, people cannot afford. So that's the issue.
So what is the highest, I mean, from where you said, what is the highest it would cost, whether in the city or in a rural area?
Well, then unless I consider the private, I think 30 cedis or so.
30 cedis.
30, 35 per a shot. Because they give you booklets to do the recording, and that's it. And so if somebody is also coming to your home, of course, they will have to factor in the transportation costs. So you will not have it at 10 cedis or maybe 10 to 40. I'm not at the clinic, so I will not be able to give you the exact figure. I've left the place for a very long time, yes, but they put a lot of factors into it. But at the rural areas, they don't even charge that. That is why I said the 10 cedis, people cannot even afford to pay for the 10 cedis.
Tell me, I know that it's not just dogs, and I'm just stretching the conversation because it's dogs that we have commonly around us, but there are other vectors, so to speak, other animals that can carry rabies, including bats, for example. I bring up bats because we know that, I mean, from Lassa fever to other things, they happen to be vectors. And here, some people also consume bats. How dangerous is that?
It is, but bats have it. I don't know the ones they buy, whether the animals are not sick. I may not be able to tell. But as I said, if even a dead animal, you are not supposed to consume. So if you are a type that eats bats and you go and you realize that a dead bat is lying and then you take it, then there's a likelihood that you can acquire. So that is what I can say. But I know that they are also reservoirs of rabies.
Okay. Dr. Abudu, just my final question to you. You made mention of the fact that there was some sort of national plan. Was it by 2020, you said, to eradicate?
2030.
2030. Right.
To eradicate rabies from Ghana.
Right.
And it's not just one organization. It's a tripartite organization, WHO, World, which stands for World Organization for Animal Health, and then the Environment, Ministry of Science and Environment. We are all part because sometimes the handling of the animal, they have to come in. And so this is an effort Ghana is making to eradicate the disease by 2030.
Okay, so I just want to know, what is the plan? I mean, in the interim, between now and then, are there phases? Are there things we're going to be doing? What are we going to be doing? Can you share a few thoughts with us? And that'll be the end to the conversation.
This month, the month of September, we decided that we're going to use it to create awareness. Though awareness has been ongoing, but we want to intensify it more. But it will take off. I actually don't know when, but it's something that we have all agreed to do with determination and commitment. So maybe by this September, by the end of the year, maybe the necessary plans will be put in place. And I'm very sure that beginning next year, it will take off.
Dr. Abudu, we are so grateful that you've taken the time to enlighten us on the affair of rabies. We're grateful for your time, madam.
Thank you, too. Bye.
Right. Dr. Mabel Abudu is Ashanti Regional Veterinary Officer who's been sharing with us her thoughts on rabies, what we can do. If you get bitten, especially by a stray dog, don't take it for granted. Go and get maybe even a tetanus shot together with your anti-rabies shot. But we explore more matters this morning on the show. As you're aware, inflation for August is 33.9%. But what does this mean to the average market woman or trader at specifically the Agbubulushi market? Mapito Sibidi, my colleague, has been speaking to some of them, and this is what they had to share. Covering the Global Center on Adaptation's Africa Adaptation Summit had been a drain. After all the hard work, all of us, the media personnel from different parts of the world who had assembled in Rotterdam, decided to take a tour of the city. Let's just say we, the Ghanaian contingent, came in peace. But even here, my Nigerian brother, Kenneth, had some violence, aka violence, in store for us as he resurrected an age-old issue over which Ghana and Nigeria have been slugging it out. Which country cooks the best jollof rice? When Kenneth and Chichi, man and wife, disputed the Niger jollof theory.
I've been to Nigeria, I've had jollof rice, I've heard a lot about Ghanaian rice, so I just want to know, what's the dummy version of Ghanaian jollof versus Nigerian jollof?
Okay, first of all, she's with the Africa Report. All right, let's do this.
Okay, so for me, I find the Ghanaian jollof very creamy. It has a lot of sauce in it, tomato sauce. And it also has like a lot going on in the jollof. There's a lot to pick and bite while you're eating your jollof. And it also has boiled egg. I love boiled egg. Hey, well, but
she loves it. She's in love. She's in love. Allow her to make a.
No. But I've told you. I told you that.
I want to hear that versus the Nigerian.
Yeah. So allow her to finish.
No. Wait. Let me tell you. So the major difference between Nigerian jollof and Ghanaian jollof. Nigerian jollof on its own stands out. Yeah. It's the wood fried.
What do you mean?
No. So on its own, it can carry its weight. You know, but so it can carry its weight. But the Ghanaian jollof.
She's asking you a question.
But the Ghanaian jollof needs support. Ghanaian jollof needs support. You need to add shito here. You need to add this there. You need to have to give it that flavor that it needs for you to get the final taste.
The judge is here.
Yeah.
The judge is here.
But the Nigerian jollof on its own can carry its weight, and then there are even grades to Nigerian jollof. Okay. There's the everyday Nigerian jollof you can cook in your house, and then there's the party jollof. The party jollof, you only get to eat that at parties, at weddings and ceremonies. And is that the one
there's a hack.
And when they make that, trust me,
wait,
you know, people scream.
Your wife is saying there's a hack.
There's a hack for you to get to eat the smoky. So the difference between the party jollof and the homemade jollof is the smoky flavor, because you're not allowed to cook with firewood like in your apartment. So most times when you cook for a party, you can cook outside and you can use firewood to cook the food. But now there's a hack. You can use a smoky yes. So there's this smoky powder you can buy and put. There's even charcoal. There's like charcoal flavor that you can put. Or you can let the food burn.
Can I make my comment? Can I make my comment? I'm just surprised that you're talking about the homemade jollof different from a party one. A jollof is jollof. Whether made home or at a party, it should give you that taste that you would. No, it should give you that taste that you'd enjoy. That's why we say Ghana jollof. We don't say Ghana party jollof or Ghana homemade jollof. So what it is that food, you know, I mean, when you sample food across the world, so you meet the Indians, you know that they are spicy. And so no matter the kind of food that you take from there, the spices are there. You know, you get it. You get to Japan, you know the kind of food they want to take. You go to Ethiopia, you know they like, raw meat, not cooked, nothing. I mean, as raw as it is. That's what it is. So jollof made in Ghana, doesn't matter the restaurant or the from the home or from which corner store. Trust me, you would love it. And you know what? And you know what? And the wife of my good friend just admitted that she has tasted Ghana's jollof.
You're Nigerian, right?
It is good, and she loves the shito also that goes with it. I don't know why he doesn't want to just admit. And he wants to help us.
Let him have a nibble.
So you have to understand that there are grades to this thing. Yeah? There's there's the jollof that went to community college. That's Ghana jollof. Then there's the jollof that went to Harvard, Stanford, Princeton. That's the Nigerian jollof.
Oh no!
The same jollof that attended Harvard, where Harvard students say it isn't the best. Allah his own wife. But you see, Nigerian jollof needs so many legs to stand on. Ghana jollof, Ghanaian jollof, whether it is cooked in the village or cooked on a menu in a restaurant like Kempinski or Mövenpick, it stands out. It speaks for itself. You were talking about garnishing and adding this or that. There's jollof made in Ghana where it is raw. There's nothing in it. It's just the sauce. So, Maji, Ghana jollof, the only thing I can give you guys, and respect to that, we've not managed to find our way around that. It has to do with the rice. A lot of the time, you people use your local rice.
So that's like,
I'll give you that. No, hold on. I'll give you that. You've managed to, harness your local rice. Not all the way, but it's something that we are still, grappling with. But apart from that, Ghana jollof.
No, you also need to taste
the go fit.
You also need to taste the Nigerian basmati jollof. It's in a class of its own.
But listen, we have saying basmati is across the board. It's not about Nigerian basmati.
When you use the Nigerian flavors and you use the basmati rice and you blend it in a specific way,
okay, let's take this conversation up just a notch.
But I'll give Ghana
no.
one thing.
Yeah.
The major thing I like eating from Ghana, whenever I'm in Ghana, I always make sure that I get it.
Where he's going.
It's kenke. I think
Gan kenke or the Fanti kenke?
So I think it's because growing up, I had some Ghanaian friends, and going to visit them in their house as kids. I got to taste kenke at that time, and then for like over 20 or 30 years, I didn't taste it again. And the first time I went to Ghana after that, I went out looking for. I was like, no, you have to give me a kenke joint, and I don't want the posh one. I want that.
The local people.
Yeah, the one like with the different sizes of fish on the side, and then the sauce on the.
When you go into the Ga communities, some of them have kenke to die for. I mean, if it's Ga kenke you're talking about. Yeah. But do you like hashito? The pepper sauce.
It needs work.
It depends on where you get it.
It needs work.
I love hashito. It's so good.
I mean, what's your name again?
It's not too hot. It's not too uncomfortable.
I know, but what's your name again?
My name is Chichi.
Chichi just says so.
Chichi. Hey.
No.
Please go ahead. Charlie, I need the dollars you do. The small one where we buy give out.
You beat your husband too.
Speak out now. You know what? You know what this project is collected. I mean, Ghana jollof, Nigeria jollof. Is that even a competition?
No, this is not.
Is that even a competition?
This is red.
Look at you.
Can you imagine the conversation?
And just the word. So you know what? This same gentleman, our big man here, Chinedu Mohalu. Is it Mohalu or Mogalu? Mogalu. Okay.
Exactly.
He's with Global Center on Adaptation anyway. When he was in Ghana at the Mövenpick Hotel, guess what he was enjoying there? Ghana jollof.
No, I didn't.
And he's here blaspheming against.
I ate banku, not. See,
banku.
Yeah, exactly. It was banku. Yeah, it was banku.
No, you ate jollof.
No, I didn't.
You confessed. You confessed back then in Accra.
Ghana jollof rice is not cool like that. No, I told you.
No, you said you loved.
I told you. That was what I ate
because of the battle.
No, the thing is.
He ate it because it was what was available.
No, I didn't. I didn't even eat that. The only thing I had was banku. Exactly. No, and the light soup. Yeah.
Chinedu, you are fibbing.
No.
When the desirable is not available, the available becomes the desirable.
All right. So let's take this up just a notch. I'll not bring that to him because I know he's a chef. Can you cook jollof?
I can cook.
You can, like, jollof that your wife, Chichi, will eat and be like, damn, that's dope.
Ask her, I come out with my own special recipes. Never seen, never heard, never done, never tasted anywhere else in the world. Only in my kitchen.
In simple terms, this guy can't cook. That's all he's trying to say. He can't cook. Any recipe that is unknown that we can't.
Ask his wife.
Chichi, does he ever cook jollof for you to eat and not have to visit the loo?
So she knows that.
He just accused the Ghana jollof of needing a lot to support it.
No.
So when he cooks, he also has to add a lot.
So let me explain. No. So let me explain that. So let me explain that. So I don't eat basic eggs. Everybody wants to do eggs. They just get the condiments, they get all of that. When I do mine, I do it in a special way.
Okay. Do you use quail eggs or something?
No. So I use eggs.
I use bananas. I blend the bananas.
Okay.
Yeah?
For your egg?
Yes.
Wow.
I add some milk.
How does it taste?
Yeah? It's spectacular. Trust me. And I add
because you
No. But I always add that level of innovation in anything I cook.
Okay.
You know? Trust me. You know?
So ask her, how does it come out when it mixes all this stuff? Honestly, is that something you look forward to every morning?
So when you cook, you shouldn't be the only one who is interested in eating. Others should also want to eat.
Exactly. So in this case,
others must judge your
cook for himself.
More or less.
Okay, so
If I can say, the only way to really settle it down is if you guys each make your respective dishes and let me taste.
Exactly.
Well, after the Jollof Wars ended, we actually got rolling to soak in the sights and sounds of beautiful Rotterdam with our tour guides, Arnoud, Johan and Inka, who showed us round some climate-adaptive locations in the city.
During Christmas. But climate change is causing that the height of the water level that will increase, and the frequency of this small-scale flooding also will increase. So we have to start to think ways, how to protect this island in the first place. Now we are going down and entering and crossing a levee and going into the center of the city, and there you could say it is -1, -2, all the way to -6 meters below sea level. And that's the typical thing for us. You have a question, Priya?
What is levee?
A levee is a dike. You could say that is protecting the city from flooding. Yeah, and these dikes. We are now going to cross this street, and actually that is a dike, and is there already for ages. You have to imagine we are lucky to have water boards, water authorities that are special governmental bodies only working on water, and they are originated 1,000 years ago already. So you could say we are already for 1,000 years working on water management. But now we have to include climate change, and that's a new challenge, you could say. And the few sites that we will show you, they all have to do with extreme rainfall. So water is coming from all directions. We are a delta city. Groundwater level is changing. The river discharge is changing. Sea level is changing, and we are facing more excessive rainfall. So it's coming from all directions, and doing nothing is not an option. And now we have to take into account more extreme weather, you could say, more excessive rainfall, more droughts, more heat waves, and that's causing all kinds of new challenges. And the water quality and blue algae, when it's really a long period of heat. But excessive rainfall, that is something that we are working on already for, say a decade, creating more water storage in the city. And that's actually what's happening, I think, in all cities, also maybe in your cities, that we are densifying our cities with a lot of concrete. And the rainwater cannot go into the ground anymore. So we need more water storage, and to also, to a certain level, depave our cities and to regenerate the sponge function, as we call it. So we need to collect the rainwater where possible, slow down the runoff, and even try to save the water during heat waves, so when there is a drought.
I had been wondering about the high cost and seemingly sparing use of water in Rotterdam, and inquired about why that was.
In this country we do have several drinking water companies, and depending on where you live, the source of the drinking water is different. So in our case, in this region, I think 1.5 million people, they get the source of the drinking water is the river, and the drinking water company has an inlet into lakes, and that's the first, you could say, filter in a whole series of cleaning the water to make drinking water. And the standards are really high. So actually, I think Dutch are used to drink water just straight from the tap. They know it is good, and it is even maybe better than bottles. It's more sustainable actually, because you don't need bottles. So a lot of Dutch people, like myself, we use bottles.
Yeah.
The Doppler. I've also got one, and I fill it with tap water.
I tried it at the bar at the and how. And, tellingly, it didn't have the pungent chlorine. You know, it was pretty good actually.
But that's good you say, because I think maybe 2-3 decades ago that our drinking water in this city was famous for the bad taste, chlorine. But that's not the case anymore. So the drinking and other drinking water companies in Holland, they use also maybe river water filtered in the dunes, and especially in the eastern part of Holland, they get the drinking water from aquifers in the ground.
Oh, really?
So it's all different depending on where you live. Yeah. In the western part of Holland, mainly it is surface water, and in the eastern part of Holland, mainly it is groundwater.
Johan, our other tour guide, was up next telling us about a planned park.
And it's going to be transformed next year into a park. So it's going to be called Hofplein Park. So no more cars, or less cars, more green. 150 trees are going to be planted here. It's going to be a park with a lot of attention for cyclists and walkers. So it's from a hot location with a lot of cars, it's going to be a park with room to cool down within the city. And this is one of the 7 major projects in the city. Big projects with a lot of attention for climate adaptation. I think we are the greenest city of the Netherlands, but we have 1 tree per inhabitant, but it has to be more. So
1 tree per inhabitant?
Yes, and we have 640,000 inhabitants around that. So you can imagine. But still we need a lot more green areas, because what we see is that Rotterdam is heating up, especially the city center and neighborhoods around the city center. People cannot cool down in their homes, but they also cannot cool down in the public space. So in the next few years, we're going to build a lot of small parks with green, with trees, with shade, where people also can cool down in the city, because that's the big problem now at the moment.
Quick follow-up. I've also noticed, is it a plan to get people, I don't know how long this has been, but we notice a lot of the people here are cycling, they are walking, which is good. You look at the people and the life expectancy and all of that, which is good. But is it planned? Is it just something that happened? Is it the people who are interested in it, or is it just the way you live here?
I think it's really cycling is in the veins of the Dutch. So a lot of the cities are designed with the cyclist in mind, so there are designated lanes for cyclists. So that's really, I always go to the office on my bike, and a lot of people do. So it's really, it's been there.
We finally disembarked and started out on foot to examine some of these climate adaptive sites. First in line was a community square that had been renovated to serve as a reservoir system. All right, so we're still here representing the red, gold, green and black in Rotterdam. We're still exploring the town, basically. So here we are with our guides, and they're taking us around. That's the rest of the media team, and we're going to catch up with them, have some fun. Whatever we discover, you'll discover too, yeah?
The river and the sea by dikes and storm surge barriers, but the rainwater falls on the other side of the dike. So we have 2,400 kilometers of sewage pipe drainage system, 1,100 pumping stations to pump all the water to higher grounds and eventually to the river. But our sewage system just cannot cope with all the water, especially due to climate change. We see high intensity of rainfall in the summer. So big rain showers in a short amount of time. more sewage pipe, bigger sewage pipe is not a solution. We need to retain the water, slow down the water. So what we did here is we renovated it square, so we made it more attractive, while at the same time built reservoirs where water can be temporarily stored. It's only raining 5% of the time, 95% of the time it's dry. So what do you do with these reservoirs when it's dry? Well, they have another function. Yesterday there was a big rainstorm in the evening. Maybe you've all seen it. We had a thunderstorm, a lot of water in a short amount of time. So now there is water in the reservoir. So it's supposed to be there, and within 24 hours after a rain event, it's pumped out and it's dry. And over here you see, well, you don't see it very clear now, but this is a sports field. It can be used for sports, but also for performances, because there's a school here, our school, a theater school. There's also a sports club over here. There's a church over there, and there are people living here. People who all want different things. A lot of people wanted sports. There's a stage in that reservoir, can also be used for things like a performance. This is used for skating and BMXing. And even when it's sunny on a Sunday, the church has services in the reservoir outside.
Rotterdam would be coming here, but the community, about how many people does it serve?
Well, a lot of people. This is really a densely populated neighborhood, so I don't know the exact number, but I think it may be a few thousand.
Yeah, the interesting thing was that because we designed this, then a lot of other people and entrepreneurs in this district, they also, when they saw this and they were inspired, and said, okay, now we understand what we need. We also have ideas. We want a green roof. And so this was really the trigger for a lot of inspiration and a snowball effect, you could say.
Right. So it's being replicated across the community.
Yeah, and also the transition before, I now exaggerate, but before it was like the government knows what's best for the citizens and we do projects, and this is really a co-creation and also a transition we designed together with the citizens.
From there, we took a short stroll to the next site, a rain garden.
Kilometers of sewage pipe every year, which means that we have to open up the road on 40 kilometers of city. Usually we open the road and we put back a road, but it's also an opportunity to do something to the public space. And on this location you have a road over there and you had a road over here, so the road was actually useless. Yeah, we talked with the citizens, what do you think when we remove the road? Say, okay, it's okay. But what do you want back? And I say, we have not much green in our neighborhood, we want more green. So what you see here is a rain garden, so the road is transformed into a small park, where also some wadis are installed, so some small reservoirs where part of the surrounding area can drain into, but also the overpass. You see pipes running down, it also drains into the rain garden. So actually this is the next step, I think, from a water square which focuses purely on stormwater. This focus on stormwater, but also adding more green and reducing the heat. The water square is really nice, but it's also a lot of concrete, and concrete heats up and the city stays warm during the night. This is the next step. Also designed together with the citizens, but also here we take a next step, because this is also maintained by the citizens. So a group of people living here, they do all the plants. Well, now it was really dry the last couple of months, so it's not that green, but they make sure it looks good and everything. The letters is the signing of the neighborhood, but in there are also rain barrels. So we retain the water, so we can use it to water the plants in dry periods. And it's actually a smart rain barrel. Rain barrels, they have the tendency to be full when the next rain event comes, and then you have old water with a bad water quality. This one is connected to the rainfall radar, and if a storm is coming, it empties itself, so you have new, fresh rainwater. It was a pilot, and now we have also small ones that you can put in your garden or in the streets where people can water their plants. Also to make sure to have more green in the city. this is really extreme. Not every road, we cannot give up every road in the city, but for the next 4 years, we have a high budget to transform all the 40 kilometers per year into climate adaptive roads.
But why call this place a wadi?
Because we stole the word from, that's an African word, for a river that most of the time is dry, but when it is extreme rainfall, then there is water. And that's why we call these lower parts in the parks also wadis. There's a connection with Africa.
I was also curious about why Europe especially, which had promised to progressively move away from the use of coal, which has high pollution impact, was going back on its word on the back of the Russo-Ukrainian war. Thing I found rather curious, it skipped my mind and I did not ask yesterday. So on the back of what is happening in Russia, Europe, you made promises that you were going to move away from coal. Because we know what that does to the environment. And in the past, in Paris and others, you said that Africa should move away. It doesn't matter if you're now developing, move away from coal. But with what's happening in Russia, Europe, including the Netherlands, you've increased your coal consumption by millions of tons. That's hypocrisy. And you're saying, yes, climate change and all of that, but you're doing the exact opposite.
When
Why
it
is that?
suits you.
When it suits you. Oh yeah. And Africa needs to develop and also industrialize and also pollute the environment a bit. But you're saying don't pollute. And when it suits you, you turn around and pollute.
Okay, it was a nice day.
What's that?
Tough question.
No, of course it is. By the way, we use coal, but we in this country we use natural gas. That's also causing emission, but also even in our country we don't face natural earthquakes. But now in the northern part of Holland we have earthquakes caused by extracting gas from our own soil the layers. But it is the case, and we of course hope that it is temporarily to increase this. But the challenge is to invest in wind and solar. And especially, I think in your countries, the sun is a big, huge energy source.
That we're not putting to the best of use.
So maybe we have to later. What our mayor I think said, maybe we have to import energy from you guys because you will be the energy producers.
We also went up an abandoned subway that is now being used for tree planting purposes, a park in effect, to create a green corridor.
Into Die Hague and to Scheveningen Beach, used to run here. It's now below the surface, so it's a subway. This was empty for years, maybe 8 years, almost 10 years. A lot of people already wanted to transform this former train track into a park, like the High Line in New York. Now it's going to happen. So next year they're starting development of a big park. Starting here, this is the old train station, all the way to the highway, which is around 2 kilometers. So a former train track is going to be transformed into a green corridor all through the city. So it's really adding up to the attractiveness of this neighborhood. There's a lot of room for green, but also for water storage. So what we are going to do is add a lot of green, but green uses a lot of water. What you see over here, well, it's somewhat green, but also brownish. You really see that the heat and the drought has an effect on all this green. Our council wants more and more green in the city, which means you also need water. And we always saw water as a problem. Catching it, retaining it, getting rid of it as soon as possible. But it's really an asset, that rainwater. So all around this track, we're going to catch the stormwater, clean it with plants on this overpass, and then pump it to the first aquifer, so around 15 to 30 meters deep in the first sand layer. You can store it there for a long period of time because it's cool, pathogens don't have an effect, and you can pump it up once you want to use it. So in this way, we get this green corridor, and we also keep it green for a long
period of time. And so also a lot of attention for biodiversity. There's actually going to be special staircases for the hedgehog. You know, the small animal.
Yeah.
And I heard,
Porcupines.
yeah, the small porcupine. I heard at night it walks for 5 kilometers. So every night it can go one way and back, and with his small legs. Huh? So now it's really from something that was only built for transportation with a lot of concrete is going to make this neighborhood more attractive and climate proof again. So, and next year they are starting with the construction of it, and this is actually the first like pilot of this park.
We were soon back on the bus headed for our final stage of the tour, another climate adaptive facility called the Depot Building.
Yes.
This building, though it is full of mirrors on the outside, thus creating some concerns in terms of heat retention, also houses a reservoir to aid in water evacuation. The Depot Building, which houses a museum, a cafe, a restaurant, a bar, and a roof park, lived up to its spectacular billing, and we were all eager to take some photos around it. It also is popular among the Dutch and tourists alike because it reflects part of the city's skyline in its external mirrors.
Where the pieces of art are stored that are not on display in the museum, and they also do restoration on statues and paintings and everything. At the same time, it's a really attractive and really new iconic building for Rotterdam. It opened half a year ago. So it's built out of a necessity due to climate change, but also has climate adaptation in mind, because on the roof there's not a green roof, but there's a park on top of the roof, and there's a restaurant and a bar, and well, it's really to make the building more attractive but also climate proof. And it's used a lot for pictures because it's really nice, I think.
After taking in the scenery, we went underground into the water retention system of the building.
As I told you, there is not so much surface water in the city center, problems during heavy rainfall. So as you are constructing a parking garage below the surface, you are digging, you might as well at the same time build a huge water retention. And it's actually at a quite convenient location, because over here is a top view of where we are. And actually the main sewage pipe which collects where all the water, all the sewage water and rainwater flows through from the city center, it runs right in front of this garage. So this was built. At the same time the water storage was built, and actually they just connected the main sewage pipe with the underground water storage. When it's raining, when the sewage reaches its capacity, a valve is opened and this water storage fills up within 30 minutes. And it's 10 million liters, 10,000 cubic meters of water. It's really dirty water because it's a combined sewer that's connected to this water storage. So it's both storm water and sewage water. And if there's really heavy rainfall and you are here, you actually see the water just on top of the window. And then, so yesterday there was some rain, but not so much that this fills up. No, this is dirty water. So what we do after a rain event, when the sewage system is empty again, we pump this all back to the sewage system, where it's being pumped to the wastewater treatment plant before it's discharged into the river. Yeah, and the thing is, building just a water storage on its own is way too expensive. We just don't have the money to do so. But combining it with a parking garage, where there's already construction going on, it becomes a feasible solution. So that's what we try to do with climate adaptation everywhere in the city. If there is a project going on, a project in the public space, a new development, a new building, link in climate adaptation. So make sure that the extra, so sometimes it's a green roof, sometimes it's a used water storage, take the opportunity to do something like this. And this is the only one in the city, and it's used around 7 times a year. And before we had this, we had a lot of, so when the sewage system fills up, it overflows into the surface water. So we only have one canal in the city center, so almost 10 times a year there was sewage water flowing into the canal. So oxygen is gone, fish die, a lot of bad smell problems. Since we had this water storage, we have one combined sewage overflow every 2 years. So it really helps in climate proofing the city.
All too soon, it was time to draw the curtains on the tour. Boy, it had been fun, and we had learned a lot about how the city of Rotterdam was adapting to climate change challenges. Later that day, we caught the moving road bridge opposite our hotel as it was lifted for a shipping vessel to pass. And there you have it, the city of Rotterdam in all its daytime splendor. At night, however, we were surprised by the rain, a not too common phenomenon in Rotterdam, and I had a brush with it. There you are. Alright, so I just came out of called Mina line, which is the subway, and I'll tell you one thing. It doesn't rain much in the Netherlands, especially in a city like Rotterdam, despite all the greenery, but when it does rain, it pours, like you can see. I decided to take a little bit of a trip, and yes, I got soaked, I got beaten a bit by the rain. All of it, well, enjoyable, the beauty of Rotterdam. After escaping the rain and being back at our 17th floor hotel lobby, we pondered some memorable quotes by famous Dutch figures, together with some interesting artworks. Coming back home, we made our way from Rotterdam to Amsterdam. It was then that I noticed something interesting that I had missed earlier, an airport library in Schiphol. I took a few minutes to peruse some of the literature available there, wondering when we would do same back home to promote our own cultural heritage and touristic sites at the Kotoka International Airport. Well, from here, it was all the way back to Accra via Dubai as we headed back to home sweet home.
You're still watching the AM show on the JoyNews channel. Just gone by as the Rotterdam Diaries with Benjamin Kakpo, and he was just giving us, and showing us how he was enjoying in Abruzzo. Aiko Benjamin Kakpo, but a group is seeking government support to make coconut a cash crop. Now, this group believes coconut can outshine cocoa in raking in revenue for Ghana's developmental agenda. And Ruth Mafo, who's the director of the public relations of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, joins me for this conversation. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yourself?
I'm great, thank you. Now, let's talk about coconuts. And can it be described as a cash crop?
Well, if you're describing cash crops in terms of the value it brings, then yes. For now, it may not match your usual cash crops, but then that's what we are seeking to do in the coming years. Yes. So coconut is now, it's part of our horticultural items that we promote as an organization.
Okay, so how are you seeking to make it a cash crop?
So first of all, coconut as a plant has, you can derive many products out of it.
Yeah.
Our mandate as an organization is to identify and promote items that are made in Ghana that we can add value to. Okay, so for us, our mandate ensures that we are promoting non-traditional exports.
Okay.
So the traditional exports being cocoa, beans, oil, electricity, timber and logs, and so anything else that you can add value to, we promote that. So coconut is one of these items under the horticultural products that we can add value to. And coconut as a plant the wonderful thing about it is that from the top of the tree to the roots, everything there is beneficial.
Oh yeah.
And you can find uses made out of it. In fact, it's with platforms such as the Coconut Festival that you get to see the wonderful things that people are doing in the space of coconut. The different innovations that people are coming out with. I mean, people just know coconut just for the refreshing drink.
Yeah.
Or maximum coconut oil, that's it. But you'll be amazed at the kind of things that people are doing with coconut.
Can you tell us some of those things?
So, for instance, I really wish this other person had been here, but there are so many, apart from the milk that people, producers are making out of coconut itself, the husk is used for a lot of these handicraft items.
Yeah.
There are some other, even your car seats, you're using it, the copra in the, you're using it for producing lots of these industrial arts and crafts and items. And also, when it comes to medicinal value, there are parts of the coconut that you can use for health benefits. In fact, at the Coconut Festival, you're going to have sessions where you're bringing on board the scientists to talk about the benefits, so that it's not just me using nice English ways to talk about it, but yes, science-based facts about the benefits of coconut. And that's why you need to be at the Coconut Festival to know these things.
Okay. We'll talk about the Coconut Festival very soon. But is Ghana exporting coconut?
Yes, Ghana is exporting coconut. In fact, in 2021, coconut export yielded $11.44 million US.
Okay.
That was about 133% increase on the previous year, where we did about 4.9 million. That is just for coconut alone. For coconut oil, we're doing about 6.9 million US. Again, an increase on the previous year of 4.9 million US. So you can see that there's a steady growth. But like I said, and then I think with copra in 2020, we did, I think, 7 million.
Okay.
7,000, I'm trying to, but the essential thing is that there are so many other things that are being done that we can export that can add more revenues to what we're already doing. The aim is to make at least 2.8 billion, because that's the potential, and we if we put our minds to it and we add, we strategically make an effort to push the coconut plant, we would get there. So that's what we are aiming to do, because the National Export Development Strategy, which is the document that was put together by over 100 public and private sector representatives, aims to put Ghana in the space of an industrialized economy where we are export-oriented. So then you're dealing more with sending out more of our exports to rake in more revenues, so that we are not heavily relying on the things that we are importing. Of course, we know that now times are tough, the dollar, everyone is screaming about it. But if it was that we were exporting more, then we would be able to show up that balance. And so by the target of the National Export Development Strategy is to have 25.3 billion by 2029.
25.3 billion?
Yes, US dollars.
Okay.
25.3 billion US dollars by 2029. And you can only get this if you are really targeting at some particular items that you know that these are going to bring in the revenues you're talking about. We can't just sit and hope and wish that, oh, everyone is drinking coconut, so
they'll just drink it.
So we have some 17 items that if we put our minds to, and we add strength to it and focus on that, put our strengths against that, we should get to that figure.
So now let's zoom in into some of the strategies. What exactly are you doing to make sure that we reach that target?
So if I'm staying within the coconut space, for instance, we realized that with coconut, one of the challenges that some years back we faced was that there's a disease that's called that affects the plant such that you can't get the yield that you're looking for.
Okay.
So the Ghana Export Promotion Authority then decided to intervene with disease-tolerant seedlings.
Okay.
Giving the farmers, the producers, these seedlings, so that you don't have a garbage in, garbage out situation. Once you're giving them the disease-tolerant seedlings, then you're hopeful that when the yield comes out, the quantities are going to be great, and the quality of the coconut crop you're getting is going to be good as well.
Yeah.
And so from about 2017, we've been engaged in what we call the Coconut Revitalization Program, where we've given out about 600,000 seedlings to the producers and the farmers. These are associations, so that when they plant it and the yield comes out, we get a good returns to be able to export. And of course, with the platforms such as the festival, that is what we use to showcase the things that we're doing in the coconut space. And in that way, you get more people to either, invest in the space, or if it is that they are interested in farming, they don't know where to go, they can also decide to produce coconut.
So are there opportunities for someone like me? I'm not a farmer, but I think that, you know what, coconuts, I see some growth in there, or potential. What can you do for someone like me?
So for someone like you, it would be good for you to be within the, the festival. There are various sessions for people like the startups, those who don't know where to go. That's why organizations like the Ghana Export Promotion Authority is there, speak to us, and then you say that, listen, this is where I have an interest, how can I be helped? And so you have various people at various stages of the value chain that can give you the help that you need.
Yeah.
You see. So, in Ghana Export Promotion Authority, for instance, we have a place called the GEPA Impact Hub. What we do is, this is a space where you have 3 permanent desks of key stakeholders who can help you if you're an exporter. So the Ghana Standards Authority has a desk there, the Food and Drugs Authority has a desk there, the Plant Protection and Regulatory Services Directorate of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has a desk there. So what this does is that you don't need to crisscross length and breadth of Accra to say, oh, I want to do this, what do I need to do? You can get your questions answered there. You can get at least the initial help from there, and then we can handhold you through the process. This is a technology-driven library or information hub. Yeah, so you can have your time there and have all your questions answered, and that's where we can take you through the process.
Okay, now let's talk about policies. Are there any policies geared towards promotion or maybe cultivation of coconut for the outside markets?
Well, for now, what we are doing is to align everything that we are doing to the National Export Development Strategy I'm talking about. So this is not just a document for Ghana Export Promotion Authority alone.
Yeah.
I keep reminding that it's a document that is for the nation. And so that's why we got a lot more people to be involved, to input into the document. So everything that we seek to do, so if it is that you're in the transport area, the customs area, the finance area, everyone is doing their bit to ensure that we get to this level by 2029. Okay, so this, when it comes to this event, for instance, the reason why we are supporting it is because we want to create that platform where we'll be encouraging a lot more people to get into the space, because it's only when we get a lot more producers to export that we can get to that level.
Okay, now let's talk about the private sector and what they're doing to help reach the target. Yeah.
So for the private sector, I would just stay within, let's say, the African Coconut Group, for instance, who we are partnering with for this festival. They would come up with their initiatives that they believe would push what they need to push. So the African Coconut Group, for instance, would come up and say that we've realized that a lot more people don't know about the uses of coconut, or how we can export, or the potential that lies with the coconut space. And then when they come up with these events and these projects, they need the support of government agencies to help them push and promote. And that's what our mandate entitles us to do. So that's why we support private sector groups like this one. But again, on their own, they can only go further if we collaborate. And of course, with us, we also are not the only ones who can help them. You have the likes of the Exim Bank who help with export. You have the likes of the CSIR, who are also always coming up with innovations and new things that can be done. Tree Crop Development Authority are also there to promote. In fact, they also are providing some of these disease-tolerant seedlings I was talking about to the group. So everyone is ensuring that they're doing their bit to push what private sector is doing, because on their own, either partners on their own cannot do it alone to move the sector.
All right, now let's talk about the festival. In a nutshell, what does it seek to achieve?
Showcasing the potential of coconut and the many derivatives that you can get out of it.
Yeah.
Yes. So I tell you, the first time it was held, that was the first time I saw coconut being used for, what was it, the jollof? It's very mind-blowing recipes. And this time around, I'm expecting that on the runway, you're going to have even coconut, what do you call it, a dress or accessories.
Okay,
out of
nice.
It. So you should be there, and the cooking and the various medications and household items being made of coconut. You should be there from the 20th to 23rd of September.
Okay, 20th to 23rd of September.
At the Accra International Conference
Okay, so what do I need? Do I need to buy a ticket? Is it a free event? What's the deal?
So 20th is the opening ceremony. You do not need a ticket to be there. You should come there. What you need to do if someone is into producing coconut or doing anything that is in the coconut space, you can get a booth and come and be
showcase or sell your work. Yes. Okay, and then the following days, what can we expect?
So in the following days, that's when you have the various seminars I was talking about, panel discussions that are talking about how you can grow or you can upscale your business. If there's someone who doesn't know, totally new people who are just interested in the business of coconut, you should be there. And that's where you have people who have been within the space and who have made it, and they can tell their stories.
Okay.
Like this woman who says, who started from ground zero, and then she started with this coconut business. Now she's looking after her children. She's built her house. There are really true stories that people can share and
relate
to inspire others to get into that space. So.
Okay. Any last words?
Coconut is an amazing fruit, and you should be there at the conference center from September 20th to 23rd to find out how you can be part of the game-changing process.
Ruth Mafo has said it all, Director Public Relations of the Ghana Export Promotions Authority. So 20th to 23rd of September. What time does it start?
It starts at 9.
From 9 a.m.?
The exhibitions are there. I mean, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you can still pass by.
So from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., make sure you come join the Coconut family at the Accra International Conference Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And I'll be there.
You should.
Yeah, to showcase my coconut head.
Well, beautiful.
Thank you. Well, it's time to take our destiny into our own hands as a country. We need to come together to help our farmers buy the fertilizer they need. Otherwise, we risk a food shortage soon in the country. Farmline is supporting farmers by making affordable fertilizer available to farmers through a discount program. We are inviting you to also support us by donating 10 Ghana cedis or more towards raising 1 million cedis to support over 25,000 farmers this season. Simply dial *887 *4444 hash to donate. I'll repeat that number, *887 *4444 to donate. Now you can donate 10 Ghana cedis or more and contribute to food security in Ghana. How's it? How about treating your family to a summer holiday in South Africa? Come journey to South Africa for a good time in our beautiful country. Get to know the locals and our languages. If you're looking to let your hair down and relax, or you're just in the mood for some fun, family-friendly adventures, South Africa has got everything you need. This summer, Wazanila, and experience a holiday worth talking about. You're welcome back to the AM show, and it's time for us to get interactive with our lovely viewers. You can dial 03022111691, 03022111692. It's the end of a very long week. A lot has been happening on the news. What has been your big stories? What have you seen on social media that you'd like to share your thoughts on? Do join us on 030-2211-691, 030-2211-692. We know that's something that has been dominating the newspaper headlines, your onlines, was Aisha Wang's going to court and the whole Galamsey saga. So what are your thoughts on that now that we're wrapping up the week? Any thoughts on anything else that we might have missed? Let's go to Kumase, where Bindao calls us from. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my Pity.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm also well. Mr. Kako is not back from Rotterdam, eh?
But have you not been watching the show this whole week?
I just joined after his documentary, but I haven't seen him.
He's back.
Okay. Then what he brought from Rotterdam, don't take it alone. I'll come for my share.
Okay, Mate.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to comment on the ex-president John Mahama on the judiciary issue. I think that what he can promise us is that when he comes back to power, he will change that that law or convention, so that there will be a judicial council to see to the appointment of judges into the Supreme Court, but not by the president, among other state institutions that the president appoints those officers. So if he has problem with that, he has ever been a president before, but he didn't tackle that. So he should assure us that when he comes back, he will take the necessary measures through Parliament to change those laws, so that there will be an independent body to speak to the appointment of these officers, so that we can all be satisfied with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abinda from Kumase. You know the number to dial is 030-2211-691, 030-2211-692. You can also join the conversation on Facebook. We are JoyNews on TV. We'd really like to hear your thoughts. Do we have our next caller on the line? Not yet. All right. It seems like you are shy. I want you guys to share your thoughts on what's been happening in the country. And we also know that Monday, your pure water sachet is going for 50 pesos. Are you ready? Is there something you'd like to talk about? Would you like to share your thoughts on that? Do so by dialing 030-2211-691, 030-2211-692. In the meantime, hello Ghana. Happy moment is here. Let's storm World Cup Qatar 2022 with Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water from Casapeco Company Limited. Simply buy your favorite Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water. Text the 4-digit unique number on the neck of the bottle to short code *780#, *780#, option 2, and follow the prompts on all networks for free. Be one of the lucky winners to this year's World Cup in the monthly draw. You can also win TVs, fridges, mobile phones, home theaters, free drinks, and more instantly. Don't waste time. Grab a bottle of Storm Energy Drink, Puma Soft Drinks, and Awake Drinking Water. And let's storm Qatar this World Cup. This promotion is on the NLA Characters platform, and this advert is FDA approved. Terms and conditions are applied. Let's go to William. William, good morning. Would you like to share your thoughts? Did we lose William? William, can you hear me? Good morning. Okay, it seems like we have lost William. 030-2211-691 is the number to dial. 030-2211-692 is the number to dial. I want to hear your thoughts on the top stories so far, the big stories so far. We have Aisha Wang in court. We have former President Mahama's interview that was, all over social media. But let's come back to Accra, and Nkrumah joins us. Nkrumah, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
By His grace, I'm good. And you?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Morning.
Nkrumah,
By His grace.
so I want you to use your telephone, okay? So
Okay.
turn down the volume of your television set, yeah?
Okay. Okay. I hear you. Yeah.
Nkrumah,
Yeah.
I need you to use your phone, okay?
Yeah, I'm listening it. I'll put the telephone, the CD off.
Sharp.
And then I'm listening to you.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I just to comment upon the sachet increment.
Okay.
You know, the sachet people, they are the undermining the galamsey in the nation. Because they wanted to increase their prices. That's why they are just supporting those who are doing the galamsey in the country. So, to me, if they want to increase the sachet water or increase the water, it will be very bad. So they shouldn't do that. They should concentrate how we can able to treat the waters in the nation.
All right, thank you very much, Nkrumah.
And I also want to talk about what is going on between the statement made by the former president Mahama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I just want to tell you that you should be very calm. You know, people know that the country is now in dilemma. There's a lot of problem and there's a lot of confusion over there. But you shouldn't involve yourself with any statement that would trigger a lot of tension. So you should be very calm and let the people fight for what is happening.
Okay.
If the chance comes, he will be the head. If God says he will come back, no matter what. So he shouldn't want to. Force himself to become a next president.
Okay, thank you so much,
That's my
Nkrumah.
advice to him. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nkrumah. Let's go to our last caller, all the way in the North Tamale. Ibrahim, good morning.
Good morning. How is your place?
Our place is fantastic. How is your place?
It's fine. I admire your haircut too.
Thank you.
Yeah. All what I want to say is that the former president Mahama has been in power for long. He has been in power before. He has been an assemblyman. He has been an MP. He has been a vice president and then president of the country. So what else can he do? I don't see him fixing the country. I don't see him doing anything that will benefit Ghanaians. So you should just forget about it.
Okay.
Coming back will not help Ghanaians. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that. And we also had Nkrumah. Thank you so much for calling from Accra. And that is how we end the AM show. Thank you so much for joining us from Mondays from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We really appreciate your company. I am Mapito Sibidi, and I've been doing this with Benjamin Akakpo. Up next is News Desk.